Do your thing, Nick. Turn up. Peace, peace. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Come on in, come on in, come on in. Come on in, come on in. Peace, peace. Signs for the conscious mind. We up in here. Peace, peace. What's happening? What's happening, y'all? Red Line, what's good? Mama, son, what's happening? Peace, peace. Y'all come on in, come on in. Y'all hit that repost button for me. Hit that repost button for me. Share it to the Telegram. I got something good for us today. Got something good for us today, y'all. Y'all know I always got something good for y'all. Every time I hop on here, y'all know I got something good for y'all. You know what I'm saying? You know I got something good for y'all. What's happening to the trolls? What's happening, K-Real? Peace, peace, fam. Shout out to the trolls, too. That man said, we was kings. Y'all got to find another tune. What's happening, C3? Peace, peace. Y'all got to find another tune to sing. I know it's hard for y'all to create original disses. Y'all can't create disses without us since we are the originators of roasting. But y'all got to find a different tune, though. Peace. What's happening, everybody? Peace, peace. Thank y'all for the gifts. Thank y'all for the likes, the love. Y'all know how we about to get down. Y'all know how we about to get down. What's happening, Or? Man, we broke down soul food, Thanksgiving, and everything like that, man. So y'all know I'm about to break down our Ebonics again, especially for those who missed it. You know, especially for those who's new to the page and don't know that we do this type of stuff on a daily. So we blowing the dust off of old gems, and we incorporating some new material since we getting further in our research. Right. So we're gonna break down Ebonics today. All right, we're gonna break down our parts of speech. All right, peace, peace, y'all. Thank y'all for the gifts too. Thank y'all for the gifts. We're gonna break down our parts of speech, right? We're gonna find out how indigenous our Ebonics is that we speak on a day-to-day basis. And we also gonna talk about the connections between all of us in our Ebonics speaking dialects and accents, right? Because our accents tells a story. Our dialects tell a story. Our grammar, our vocabulary, our Ebonics tells a story. It tells the same story that we broke down yesterday when we talked about the food and the fusion of culture and history and communities and everything like that, right? So, peak game, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. What's happening, Lila? Thank y'all for the gifts. Thank y'all for the gifts. So, with that being said, we got 9 people in here. Just get 9 reposts going, 9 shares. And buckle up, roll it if you got it. Grand risings to everybody. We in for a roller coaster ride. We in for a roller coaster ride. Peace, peace. Got it. Grand risings to everybody. We in for a roller coaster ride. We in for a roller coaster ride. Peace, peace. Shout out to everybody that's in here, man. We will definitely get started here in a second. Let me get my Sophia letters together. Y'all know how I get down. Y'all get y'all Sophia letters together because I know how y'all get down. And we going to get down together. All right? What's happening, Queen? Peace, peace. Queen in the building. And Joe in the building. What's happening? OG Tribe in the building. Peace, peace, fam. Peace, peace. So, with everybody coming in real quick, can y'all do me a favor? And I'm going to ask other people that come in as well, too. But do me a favor, though. Can y'all put where y'all places of origin is? Like, where y'all from, right? With me, y'all know I'm from Georgia, right? Y'all know I'm from Georgia. You know what I'm saying? How it's properly pronounced, Georgia, right? But for those who's not well-versed in Ebonics, I'm from Georgia, okay? So, what's happening, 216? So y'all put where y'all from at real quick. Since we talking about Ebonics, I gotta know where y'all from. I gotta know where y'all accent from. Gotta know where y'all accent from so I know. Okay, got Georgia in the building. Okay, got Georgia in the building. Got Houston, Texas. Got Florida in the building, right? Something about Florida and Georgia, right? We put them W's in our words, right? We gonna talk about that real soon. And we're going to learn where that come from, right? We got Texas in the building. Shout out to all my Mississippi and California in the buildings. All right. Shout out to Cali in the building. You got Michigan, Cleveland. You got New York, son. All right. Yo, BXB. All right. We got New York in the building. All right. Your father bloodline from Arkansas, but I'm a Cali. Okay. So you from Cali then. All right. So you from Cali, OG tribe. It's all good. Yeah, you from Cali. It's cool. All right. Shout out to Baltimore, but you was raised in Texas. Baltimore raised, but Texas born. Well, you from Baltimore. Your accent is Baltimore. Nah, shout out. What's happening? Got Memphis in the building. All right. Got Memphis in the building. Music. All right. Hey, man. Hey. Shout out to all my people, man. Hey, I'm loving it, right? Shout out to Atlanta, but you from the Bronx. Okay, okay. DMV. He said, I bet you won't argue. Catawba, what's happening? Hey. Yeah, all that good stuff, right? Hey, I gotta know where y'all from so I know where the accent is, right? Because we talking about Ebonics today. All right, we talking about Ebonics. We're gonna talk about the cultural fusion, right? The same thing we did with the food yesterday. For those who missed the live about the food yesterday, I do a recap towards the end, towards it, right? Because what we're doing is we are painting a bigger picture. We're understanding our culture, where it come from, where it descend from. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense with the genealogical records that we've been finding and everything like that. So this is our story. This is our history, and we're going to tell it the right way, because everybody been telling it the wrong way, right? So shout out to everybody that's in here. We got Arkansas in the building, okay? Arkansas in the building. What's happening, Catawba? Peace, peace. Everybody coming in, let me know where y'all from. Everybody coming in, let me know where y'all from. All right, shout out to everybody that's in here. Appreciate that. 216. Hit that repost for me. Man, shout out to the big Mississippians. So, shout out to Michigan. Shout out to Michigan. Michigan is funny. My mama from Detroit, right? So, Pete Gang, though. So, Ebonics, right? We know what our Ebonics is. We know what our slang is. You know what I'm saying? Get the bag. When women say yes and sis and sus for suspect or whatever, right? You know, dope, no cap, finna. Finna is one of our OG slang words that been around since eons, right? Finna. I'm finna do this, right? Ain't, hella, cap, bruh, extra, finna, low key, dig, hood, whip, etc., 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 right? We know our Ebonics, we know our vocabulary, we know how we form our words, our structures, we know about the accent, the dialect, and everything like that, because we hear it when we talk, right? Just like I hear myself when I'm talking to y'all right now, right? It took me to leave Georgia to hear my own accent, right? And our accent is not country. That is a false narrative that they put on us. I'm just going to let y'all know that now. Our accent is not country like you think, right? We do not sound like hillbillies or none of that like that, right? We got a completely different accent. We actually have the most unique accent in Ebonics around the world. Nobody else kick flavor the way that we kick flavor. You feel me? They try to study it, but they still don't comprehend it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, words like for sure, bet, for real, exactly. Yo, people from South Carolina, Alabama, but my South Carolina family use old school Ebonics. Yeah, facts. So shout out to everybody that's in here, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. 20 people, just get 20 reposts going, 20 shares going. Let me finish getting my Sophia letters together, and we're going to go ahead and jumpstart this thing. And those who come in late, we'll just fill them in. Old English ask 900s is really X. Yep. We still talk like our ancestors still to this day. And you know something? We're going to always talk like our ancestors. Our accent would never leave. Even though they tried to erase our accents by throwing us in speech classes and, you know, all this hooked on phonics shit and try to tell us to sound it out, slow it down. All of that type of stuff was created to try to erase the indigenousness out of you. I'm being so for real. When they try to throw our kids or us, you know, like me, I don't know about all y'all, but us 90s babies, a lot of us, if we had thick accents and stuff like that, they would try to throw us in speech classes, right? Or slow it down, enunciate your words, and all of that other stuff like that, right? They be trying to get that indigenousness up out of you, but that indigenousness is too strong. You can't get rid of it, right? Our accent too strong. That bit ain't going nowhere. You feel me? Everybody trying to sound like us now. And guess what, y'all? And it flew under the radar. But our Ebonics is a legitimate language. It flew under the radar. They already acknowledged our Ebonics as a legitimate language. So our Ebonics, the way that we talk, it's not even slang like you think it is. It used to be called slang, but now it's literally a legitimate language. Our language became more legitimate in the Americas before so-called proper English did. Proper English is still not an official language. I don't know if y'all know that. Right? What we call English, right? That British shit or whatever. That's still not an official language. But your Ebonics became a legitimate official language though in the Americas. Peep gang. Yeah, they teach college courses on it. What is it about our language that's so deep? Right? What is it about our language that's that deep? Well, we're gonna get into it. We about to get into it because I just got done twisting up my Sophia's lettuce. Right? Shout out to Mom Dukes. You know, when I be in a tight jam, Mom Dukes always be looking out for you, boy. So shout out to Mom Dukes, man. You know what I'm saying? So so here we go. We about to get started, right? Y'all good? Y'all straight? Anybody got any questions before we take off? Anybody got any questions before we take off? You know what I'm saying? Feel free to ask right now. Anybody want to add something? You know what I'm saying? If not, then we gonna go ahead and have liftoff. Okay, we already gonna take liftoff, right? Anybody got any questions? No questions? Y'all ready? Y'all good? All right, let's get it in. Hold on, let me get some of this hand sanitizer. Got to get that Sophia's lettuce off my fingertips. All right, we good? What's happening, Slave Boat Hunter? Peace, peace. Bit Rico in the building. Peace, peace. Bit Rico. How does the cushion coffee work? How does cushion, you talking about, are you asking how does cushion coffee work for the body, or? That's what you asking? Okay, so cushion coffee works as a stimulant. It stimulates the brain. It enhances focus. Like I said, it stimulates the brain. It's like a limitless pill, if you want to say, if you want to put it like that. Because when you mix the caffeine with the T blank C, it creates a stimulant for the brain. Lou, what's happening, fam? Thank y'all for the gifts, y'all. Appreciate the gifts. All right. He said, yeah, coffee wakes you up. Yeah. I'm just trying to like censor my words because I'm on live right now. So y'all know certain stuff is sensitive. So shout out to everybody that's in here, man. We got 40 people in here. Let's get 40 reposts. And if you haven't told me where you are from, please put it in the comments right now because we having an Ebonics lesson. Let me know where you from if you haven't already. Let me know. Now, I'm not talking about where your granddaddy from. I'm talking about where you from, right? I'm from Georgia. You feel me? Where y'all from? All right. Where y'all from? Okay, we got Tennessee in the building. Shout out to Memphis 10. Okay, music. All right. Aye, man. All right. Shout out to Memphis in the building. You feel me? You said you from Jersey, but you stay in the DMV area. Okay. We got OKC in the building. All right. Okay. California. All right. Got Cali in the building. All right, shout out to all the Mississippians. Now, yeah, Big Mississippi in the building. Okay, Big Rico said he ain't never leave. He said he ain't never leave, right? Stormy started laughing. Hey, the Memphis accent, man. Hey, I fuck with Memphis accent. That shit be funny as hell, man. I got I got a few people up there. What's happening, Rashad? Hey, if you want to participate, Rashad, we all putting where we're from in the comments because we're having an Ebonics lesson. For real, hey, I fuck with Memphis accent, my hair music, man. Cuban on Cuban. Hey, shout out to my people. Shout out to the DMV. Okay. Now, y'all have to help me out with this. When y'all say DMV, are y'all like, is that like Baltimore or something? Or like Washington, D.C.? Or is it like all three or all two of them? Can y'all help me out with the DMV part? I'm still learning about what people mean by the DMV. When y'all say DMV, what state is that? DC, Maryland, and VA, not Baltimore. Okay. Maryland and Virginia. Hold on, what? Hold on. Okay, hold on. So DC, Maryland, and Virginia is like, it's like one spot. Oh, okay. Northern V. Okay, I got you. Okay. I always wondered that too, or I used to be confused on that. Okay. All right. All right, here we go, y'all. So let's go ahead and get started. So we having an Ebonics lesson. Just like how I explained to y'all yesterday about the cultural fusion of our food dealing with Latinos and American Indians, right? We know Latinos are Sephardics and Moors who are wrongfully called Africans inside the colonial narrative, right? We already understand it. We already understand the basis of our genealogy and our ancestors are American Indians, and we have these Latino admixtures, right? We understand this. We understand because of this, it created a fusion in culture and societies and communities and everything like that. And because of the fusion, something amazing happened with Black Americans today. This explains the richness of our culture. The deepness of the influentialness of our culture, right? I'm keeping it all the way real. So when we break down Ebonics, we got to understand that so-called AAVE or so-called African American Vernacular English is a distinct dialect. Okay, now it's 50 people in here. Let's get 50 reposts going. And for those who are well versed in vocabulary, y'all let me know, what do distinct mean? If I say this person has a distinct accent, what do distinct mean? What am I saying to y'all when I say distinct? What's happening, Lou? Wang. I don't know if I spoke to you, fam. It stands out, one of a kind, right? It could be traced historically, huh? Okay, distinct, stands out, could be traced historically, set apart, right? Okay. So our dialect is distinct, okay, with its own unique grammar. All right, with its own unique grammar and pronunciation rules. Okay, primarily spoken by Black Americans. It has a rich history rooted in expertise of so-called enslaved Africans, which we know are enslaved Latinos. And it is considered a legitimate dialect. It's a legitimate dialect. There's nothing broken about the way that we talk. The way that we talk is legitimate, right? It's not a slang or broken form of standard English like they want to tell you. Ebonics grammar includes features like deletion of popular or copular verbs, right? Meaning we take out verbs in our sentences sometimes, right? For an example, he a teacher, right? When we say stuff like he a teacher or he a firefighter, right? When we say things like that, right? He a firefighter or he a teacher, right? When we say things like that, we are literally taking out the verb because it's supposed to be what? He is a teacher, is what they tell you in school, right? He is a teacher. But because of our dialect, we take that is shit out and we just say he a teacher, right? And it's so much more comfortable when we say that, okay? So peep game. So we have a thing called deleting certain verbs and stuff inside of our grammar structure, okay? Now let's go ahead and get into it, okay? Let's go ahead and get into it. Hold on, let me go on to the beginning. Let me go to the beginning. Let's go ahead and dive into it. It's a reason why I asked for y'all to put y'all where y'all from at. All right? It's a reason why I asked y'all to put where y'all from at. Because we about to get into it, right? So peep game. Let me go ahead and get my Sophia letter sparked up. Y'all with me so far, though? So the real roots of Ebonics, or AAVE as they call it, it is a blend of Indigenous American and Ladino culture. Okay? It is a blend of Indigenous American and Ladino culture. And we know this to be true because, you know, modern narratives be like, you know, the white people taught you that English and da-da-da-da-da. If white people taught us the language that we speak, why there's no white folks that speak Ebonics? Everybody like to say our culture come from white folks and shit like that, but there's no white folks that do our culture. You know how crazy white people sound trying to speak Ebonics? They still be trying to learn shit today. Okay? So, what's happening, Daddy-O? So, our language in the way that we speak didn't come from YT people, and it sure didn't come from slavery. Okay? Unless you talking about the enslaved Latinos who was, and when I say enslaved, I ain't talking about getting beat with whips and shit, right? We way past that narrative, right? When I talk about enslaved Latinos, I'm talking about those who were indentured servants to the indigenous people who were able to intermarry into the tribes after a certain time of working off their debt, right? So this is what we mean by enslaved Latinos or so-called Africans, okay? So shout out to everybody that's in here, man. Peace. And if you haven't put where you from in the comments, go ahead and put where you from in the comments because we're going to get to regional accents. All right, so make sure y'all sit tight. We're going to get to regional accents here in a second. And I wanted to know where everybody from because when we start breaking down regional accents and dialects and stuff, I got y'all here to tell me if this true or not. Because y'all know about y'all accent. And some things you probably don't know about your accent and you will learn. Some stuff will make sense. So AAVE or Ebonics is one of the strongest proofs of the cultural fusion that produced Black American identity. All right. Shout out to Houston, Oklahoma in the building. Shout out to South Carolina, Charleston in the building. Y'all right across the bridge from Augusta, Georgia. Shout out to the 706. All right. They said Ebonics is one of the strongest proofs of the cultural fusion. A lot of people like to argue me up and down. Nah, Los. Sephardics and Moors and Indians, them niggas was beefing with each other. Them niggas wasn't together and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. If that is true, explain Ebonics to me. If Sephardics and Moors and Indians never mixed, like people are scared to admit, explain Ebonics to me. Explain why your ass eat macaroni and cheese. Because macaroni and cheese literally comes from the Iberian. All right? Yo, pasta, spaghetti, pizza, deep dish pizza, right? Lasagna, all that shit that you like comes from the Iberian. Who you think brought it over here with your American Indian ass? All right. Y'all know I gotta talk my shit sometimes. You know, I'm talking to you just like a brother on the street corner. I ain't coming to you like, well, guys, I'm not coming to everybody know how I get down in my lives. I'm gonna talk to you just like a brother in the hood, Ebonics and all, right? We ain't sugarcoating shit. This is who we is. So our Ebonics is the strongest proofs of the cultural fusion that produced Black American identity today. It is not a dialect created on plantations, right? That's first and foremost. It is not a dialect that was created on plantations. It is the continuation of Indigenous American grammar, Moorish Sephardic Ladino phonics, Creole blending rules, in early Southern English contact with the Irish. Okay, with the Irish. Most slang is actually ancient words repurposed, not random inventions. Ooh, y'all heard it? And y'all know I got those language books too. Y'all know I done broke out them language books, you know, the physiology books a lot of times. What's that there, Will? I done broke down the physiology books plenty of times, language books, right? Your accent, your Ebonics is actually ancient words repurposed, not random inventions, right? For an example, when we use the word ganja and we refer to it for the herb, right? That word is actually Sanskrit, right? The word ganja is Sanskrit, and it means the same thing as it means today. We're gonna let that dialect, we're gonna let that digest real quick. It's Sanskrit, and it means the same thing that it means today when we use it in our Ebonics. Okay, yes, I'm gonna give examples, but we got to get through the introduction first. All right, we got to get to the introduction. What's happening, KB? Right. So that's just one example of the word ganja. This Sanskrit. So now, all right. So now, yes, create the Ebonics language, right? Yes, go back into colonial times and epigenetics, and yes, start where it all began at. The beginning of the Ebonics language that we speak today. Okay? Yes, go to the beginning. All right? So the basis, just like the food, just like our culture, just like everything, the basis and the foundation is always Indigenous American. Okay? The base, the foundation is always Indigenous American foundations, right? This boy username is called Funny Videos. I can't take you serious. Let me go ahead and escort you because you're looking for funny videos. We ain't doing no funny videos over here. So the basis is always Indigenous American, right? Just like everything else with the food, the culture, the way that we dress, the music, everything like that, right? Indigenous American foundations, the base. Many native or indigenous languages in the Southeast, Muskogee, Creek, Shada, Chickasaw, Gullah, Geechee, roots, and etc., use structures that are identical to AAVE today. Oh yeah, when you start studying language of certain tribes, right, if it's the authentic language, because they done slid a lot of those Siberian words in there, and they make you think that those are the way, you know what I'm saying, the words that our ancestors spoke, but you know, some of those words is Siberian that they slid in, right? So peep game. But a lot of these tribe languages, though, they use the structures that are identical to Ebonics today. Okay, number one, the use of the word be, which is habitual, right? Man, I be doing this, man, they be doing that. You know what I'm saying? When we throw the word be in a lot of stuff, right, habitually, that is indigenous grammar. Okay, that is indigenous grammar. Thank y'all for the gifts, right? For an example, right, he be chilling, I be chilling, he be cooking, he be working. You know what I'm saying? She be doing this, she be doing hell. You know what I'm saying? She be doing nails. She be. We put the word be in a lot of stuff habitually. That comes from the indigenous grammar. Okay? He said, don't matter, they can't beat Sanskrit. Now, facts. So, right? What's happening, Remnant? Okay? What's happening, Genius Music? Peace, y'all. So, Muskogee and Choctaw or Shada languages mark habitual actions the same way, right? Muskogee and Shada languages mark the habitual action the same way with a marker equivalent to be, okay? Colonizers heard this and mislabeled it broken English, but it's actually indigenous grammar applied to English vocabulary, okay? Colonizers heard this and mislabeled it broken English, but it's actually indigenous grammar applied to English vocabulary. Okay? They used to put us in special education for speaking Ebonics. Yeah, they did. They did. I'm a 90s baby. Trust me. I remember that. I don't know if they still doing it today with kids, but they definitely did that to us. They put us in, all the hooked on phonics classes and shit. Tried to change the way that we pronunciate and enunciate words and stuff. Try to get that indigenous classes and shit. Tried to change the way that we pronunciate and enunciate words and stuff. Try to get that indigenous up out of you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now, all right. So now, number B, which is dropping the copula, right? The copula, remember, right? The action words, how we teacher or he is a firefighter. We take the is out purposely and we say he a teacher, he a firefighter, right? We take the is out. So that's what dropping the copula is, right? Like she going home, right? Instead of saying she is going home, we just say she going home. So AAVE Ebonics, she going home. Instead of saying you is crazy, we say you crazy. We are good or we is good, right? We just say we good, right? Instead of saying she is tripping or he is tripping, we say he tripping, she tripping. You know what I'm saying? All of this stems from Creek, Shada, Temuqua, and Natchez. No linking verb for present tense is the same rule that the indigenous use when they're speaking their language, right? Creek, Shada, the Temuqua in Florida, the Natchez in Louisiana. The no linking verb for present tense is the same rule. Okay? Oh, I'm telling you, you still speak indigenously today. I'm telling you, you still speak indigenously today. Right? You still speak indigenously today, whether you know it or not. They know it. Every time they hear you speak Ebonics, anytime you get into your original state of flow, when you get to talking, right? And I ain't talking about when you answering the phone for a job interview or nothing like that. I'm talking about just like how I'm giving it to y'all rough, raw, and rugged on my live right now. How I'm breaking down all of this stuff, my accent, my dialect, the run-on sentence with no commas and no periods. Some of these words sound like they all bunched together and stuff like that. This is your indigenous dialect. This is your indigenous dialect. Instead of saying car, we say car. And you know what's crazy? If you go to the Caribbeans, they say it the same way. When you go to the Caribbeans, especially like Jamaica, Haiti, I think the Dominican and stuff like that, they don't say car, they say ka. And we spell it the same way, C-A-H, ka, the ka. See, our Ebonics is no different from the Caribbean Creole or Ebonics spoken. We all one. Right? The only difference between us and our Caribbean brothers and sisters is that they speak the same fast tempo that our indigenous ancestors have always spoken. When we come to the United States, they slowed ours down so they can understand it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that happened. In our natural state, way back then, we were speaking as fast as the Caribbeans. They had to slow our shit down so they can understand it. All right? Well, just keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. He said, yeah, because Africans cannot understand us. They can't understand. He said they can understand the whites before us. Yeah, the Africans definitely can't understand us. But they want to tell you that our Ebonics come from Africans, but ain't no Africans speaking like us. I said, oh, that's why the NAs tried to make their own, but instead they sound like slow Disney characters. Nah, facts, OG tried. Facts. Yeah. So just keep going though. So these stem, so we get the no linking verb for the present tense from the Creek, the Shada, the Tamil. So we get the no linking verb for the present tense from the Creek, the Shada, the Temuqua, the Natchez. It's the same rule. So this is why AAVE or Ebonics sound more like Creole plus indigenous syntax than mainstream English. Remember when they banned us from speaking Creole in the Southeast? A lot of y'all don't remember when we covered that, but y'all can look this fact up too. They banned us from speaking Creole in the Southeast. Colonial Creole was closer to indigenous than what you really think. When we talk about colonial Creole, right, the beginning of it, right, it was closer to your indigenous language than what you thought, right? So for I think it was for like 3, maybe 5 years, maybe they went through the whole Southeast and they banned us from speaking Creole or doing anything so-called Creoleness. But that was hiding the indigeneity though when they did that. All right, so for a long time they stopped a lot of us. So our ancestors created Ebonics, right? Our ancestors literally created Ebonics for a way for us to still keep our language, because our ancestors knew what they was trying to do. Our ancestors knew that they was trying to strip us from our identity. So our ancestors created new ways using old stuff, right? Using old stuff. So they created Ebonics. They created our different foods, right? It still had that so-called Creole or indigenous undertone to it, right? So, it's no difference between us and Louisiana, honestly. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's a lot of content creators on all these social media apps. Yeah, Creoles and Black Americans are different. We're not the same. That's some stupid shit. Creole, Black American, indigenous, Afro, we're all the same goddamn people. Our culture says indigenous, Afro, we're all the same goddamn people. Our culture says and proves that we the same goddamn people with the same damn admixtures for most of us. You all right? You could say us and Creoles are different, but if I go to Louisiana, I guarantee y'all got soul food. That right there is the basis and the root to let me know who my people is. Oh, y'all eat gumbo? Shit, we do too. Oh, y'all like that jambalaya? Shit, nigga, we do too in Georgia. Or should I say Georgia? In Georgia, we eat the same shit. We gumbo, jambalaya, motherfucking seafood boil. You know what I'm saying? We got down seafood. You know what I'm saying? Gator nuggets, nigga. Rabbit. Man, we be eating all that shit down there. If you catch the right old Georgia person, they'll skin a coon and barbecue that motherfucker in front of you. And we just read that Indians ate coon. Listen to what I'm telling you. We the same people. The time of separating us is over with. We are in the time of unification. We got to do away with this colonial divide. Because that's all it is. It's colonial division. And we're breaking that. So this is why a lot of stuff is in chaos. We shaking up the scene and everything like that. We shaking people's realities and stuff, making people think and shit. Right? Because the age of division is over with. This is the age of unification, collect consciousness. There's no difference between us. We are the same people. The Caribbeans, I'm talking about indigenous Caribbeans. I ain't talking about them Africans and them Black Europeans pretending to be Caribbeans. I'm talking about our indigenous Caribbean brothers and sisters. And our indigenous Caribbean brothers and sisters who got Ladino admixture, just like us over here on the mainland. Indian, Ladino is the ancestry for a lot of us. Whether you on the mainlands or the Caribbeans or even in the East Indies. This is the basis. This is why you see similarities across America. We can watch the Polynesians and the Samoans, and you can watch all of them in East India, and you will find something that resemble our culture. You be like, hey, man, we do that shit too. Hey, some of these people look just like us. Hey, man, they got carnivals. Man, you go to the Caribbeans. Hey, we do the same shit over there. We do. Hey, what the fuck going on? You come to the mainland, everybody got some type of connection to the mainland. Hey, y'all, we do the same shit over here. The age of division is over with. Here's the collective consciousness that colonial powers of Rothschilds and Rockefellers and those tried to cover up and erase. They took one big ass family and they separated us with colonial categories. And they brainwashed us to think that we're different people. but we're not. When you get to the root of everything, this is why I'm breaking down our culture at the root. Because when you get to the root of everything, man, we ain't no different. We the same people. We just got different dialects. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in here, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got 60 people. Let's get 60 reposts. I got a caller on the line. Hold on, y'all. Let me answer the caller on the line real quick. Let me answer the caller on the line real quick. Okay, I don't know. I guess I don't have a caller on the line. All right, so y'all with me? Y'all get it? Y'all understand the breakdown that I just broke down to you? You said Creoles and Africans are not the same. Who said anything about Africans? What are you talking about? Who said anything about Africans? Ain't nobody say anything about Creoles and Africans being the same thing. What are you talking about? What's that midnight? Peace. So let's keep going though. Let's keep going because we got a lot of slides to get through. So, hold on, OG Try. I appreciate that pen, but I gotta move that so I can see real quick. So number C, right? We breaking it down. So number C, we also have sound patterns. Okay, we also speak in sound patterns as well too, right? Words like bruh, finna, nim, dim. For those who don't know what nim is, right? Phonem, right? When you hear Chicago folks be like phonem, yeah, on phonem, right? Nim is short for them, okay? Them. And some of us say dim, D-E-M, right? Dim over there, right? Dim over there. On phoneme, right? Nim. All of that just means them, okay? I'm just being real. So, you know, we speak in sound patterns, right? Dim, dub, nim, bruh, y'all. These echo Southeastern indigenous plural markers and second person markers, okay? On phoneme. Right? Yeah, who them be? Right? You know how we use that be habitually, like I just right? Yeah, who them be? Right? You know how we use that be habitually, like I just hey, who them be over there? Okay. All right. I just want to know who them who them folk is. I know how we get down. Let's flip the page. So we speak in sound patterns as well. Now, let me get to I'm gonna come back to this, right? Because those is just breaking down. Matter of fact, I can't get to the regional breakdown without continuing the root. All right, I was just about to skip ahead. Everybody good though? Y'all straight? Yep, mother equals mother, right? When you go up north, word to mother, right? Mother. Yes, we speak with sound patterns, right? Is my live good for everybody? Everybody good? If my live straight, somebody said it's glitching. Is it straight on y'all end? Just press 1 for me. Word to mother. Okay, if it starts skipping, or glitching, y'all probably gotta leave and come back in. All right. Shout out to everybody that's in here, man. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all enjoying the live. Hope y'all catching these gems. Y'all already know how we get down, cushion coffee in the morning. So now we just broke down the indigenous roots. Okay? Y'all got that? What's happening, Dre Chosen? One piece, fam. Hey, so we just broke down the indigenous part of our Ebonics. Before we get to the Ladino influence, y'all understand the indigenous basis and foundation of our Ebonics before we continue going, right? I just got to make sure everybody got it before we move on. I don't want to lose nobody confused, and we just keep talking and stuff, right? I want to make sure everybody got it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Peace, Dre Chosen One. Hey, shout out to the brother. If y'all haven't tuned in to Dre Chosen One, make sure y'all tap into his page. Support his page. Check out his video. Repost his content. The brother be dropping hella gems. All right, what's happening, Flalanius? Peace. Magnificent in the building. So we all got it. We all straight. I think like one person said that they was good. OG Tribe said he got it. Everybody else got it. Everybody else got the basis, the indigenous roots of our Ebonics. I got you. I'm gonna go back over it here in a second. You just jump in right here, and we'll cover the indigenous after I cover this. For those who coming in late, excuse me. Okay, so now with the Ladino Moorish admixture, okay, with the Ladino Moorish Sephardic influence admixture, because the foundation, the base and the foundation is always indigenous American. So now we're putting up the walls and the windows, okay, the roof and everything. So when Ladino speaking Moors and Sephardic Jews mixed with the indigenous population, their language pattern fused into the developing Creole speeches that later became Ebonics. Y'all got that? Any questions? When the Ladino speaking Moors and Sephardic Jews mixed with the indigenous populations, their language patterns fused into the developing Creole speech that later became AAVE Ebonics. Okay? You want to know what's crazy? You want to know what's crazy? The natives don't have this. You can still tell who's the indigenous even by the language and what happened, right? The transformations. The natives don't have this story. They'll tell you all this about the colonizers and, yeah, you know, the Europeans mixed with our people and, you know, we took them in, and they'll tell you all of this shit that they did with the European, but there's no cultural fusion that happened with them and the Europeans. Why? Because it wasn't them that these Latinos was with. It was with us. The natives was dealing with white Anglo-Saxons and Russians and Slavic people. So they got some different shit going on than what we got going on. Right? Our cultural fusion is because of the outcome of these Latinos, Moors, and Sephardics encountering the Indians from the Caribbeans to the southeast. So even your Ebonics proves it. Our soul food and food proves it. Our culture itself proves it. And our genealogical records prove it as well too. See what I'm saying? What's happening in St. Louis? So when in St. Louis, so when Ladino speaking Moors and Sephardic Jews mixed with the indigenous population, their language patterns fused into the developing Creole speeches that later became Ebonics. For an example, the word finna, right? The word finna. Said truth sprinkled with a little lie. African American vernacular English equals Sephardic American vernacular English. I mean, kinda. You can say that. What's happening in DC? Peace, peace. They say they was forced to lose their tongue, but they still speak it. Yeah, the natives say that the YT people took their language and then gave it back to them later. That shit crazy. It was like they took our language, and then they gave it back to us. What? The fuck? That shit don't even make sense. They took our language and then they gave it back to us. Like, that's what the natives will tell you. Right? Crazy work, right? What's happening, Copper Toe? Right? So, here's an example. The word finna, right? That's one of our beloved Ebonic words. We say that shit all the time, right? I'm finna go to the store, huh? Right? Man, we finna go to Walmart, huh? Man, hey, I think we finna go to Dillard's. Hey, y'all hungry? Yeah. Hey, where we going? Shit, man, we finna go to Panda Express, or we finna get some Wingstop, right? Finna. Not fixing to, right? I don't know what the fuck fixing to is. If you are a melanated person and you come to me saying, I'm fixing to go, I'm gonna look at your ass sideways. Especially if you're like, yeah, bro, I'm Black American. Yeah, I'm one of you guys. Oh, you one of us? Okay. But yeah, I'm fixing to go to the store. Hell no, you ain't one of us, fam. Hell no. Get the fuck up out of here, nigga. You are not one of us. I am sorry. Don't nobody in our community ever say fixing to do shit. Like, for real. I don't know what that word is. That shit ain't never right. And if you ain't finna go nowhere, you about to go somewhere. That shit ain't never right. And if you ain't finna go nowhere, you about to go somewhere, right? I know I'm from Georgia, right? So we say it different, man. I'm about to go to Walmart, right? I'm about to go to Walmart. B-O-U-H. Pause. You gotta have that pause in there, right? I'm about to go to Walmart. You gotta put it all together too, right? These aren't separate words. This is one long ass word. About to go to Walmart. That's one big ass word. I'm finna go to Kroger. That's one word. Look, all of this is one word. I don't know. Look, I'm telling you the truth. All of this shit is one word, right? Hey, Pete Gay. So, right? You know what I'm talking about? Hell yeah, you know what I'm talking about, man. Yeah. One word. But Pete Gay, though. We say bada in DC, like y'all say finna. Well, shit, we say both in Georgia, DC. Like in Georgia, we utilize bada and finna, but it all depends though. Like if we about to leave this second, we say bada. Like, bro, I'm about to go. Like, we mean when we say, man, I'm about to go, we mean like hurry your ass up. I'm about to leave your ass. Or when we say I'm finna go somewhere, that means we about to go, but you got like 5 minutes before we leave. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, we finna go. Right? You got about like 5-10 minutes before we leave for real. You know what I'm saying? But when we say, man, I'm about to go, oh yeah, your ass about to get left, bro. You better hurry up. You know what I'm saying? Different tones. Remember what we learned yesterday, right? The tones. You gotta listen to the tones. You know? But yeah, you know. But y'all know everybody came from the South, though. Y'all know all y'all ancestors came from the South, though. No matter where we say we are born at today, all of our ancestors came from that deep South. So a lot of that shit still stick with us still to this day. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, keep going, though. And I love when we have an Ebonics section because I can full-fledged let my Ebonics act. You know what I'm saying? This is a subject I'm comfortable with because now I feel like I'm talking to my people and only my people will understand me. The Africans and the natives right there in the hallway, like, what the fuck are they talking about? They get that damn jungle talk. But if you pay attention to Tariq Nasheed, his Ebonics seem forced. I'm gonna keep it all the way real, and then we're gonna continue going. When you really listen to Tariq Nasheed next time, his Ebonics sounds forced. I hear what he said, but we need to see some genealogy. Because you could be a melanated European. And the older you get, you really kind of not starting to look like us, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? But his shit sound forced. Even his jokes and roasts sound forced. Real Indians, real Black Americans, this shit just come natural, bro. That shit just flow like water. We ain't got to force shit. But P gang though. But P gang. Just keep going though. Just keep going. So, the word finna, right? The word finna, it has Ladino and indigenous fusion, right? Fixing to is Southern English as it is, right? You fixing to do something, right? That's Southern English as it is. The Ladino finna, F-I-N-A, finna, purpose means intent, right? The Ladino word finna. Oh yeah, y'all still speak y'all Sephardicness as well too. I forgot to tell y'all that. Just like you still speak indigenously, oh, you still speak Sephardically too. And you still speak Moorishly as well too. Right? Sephardic, Moorish, Indian makes Ebonics. This is what we talking about right now. Okay? So finna is actually a Ladino word, which means purpose and intent. Okay? All right. So indigenous future tense compressed equals finna. F-I-N-N-A. And it means the same thing as it means today. Purpose and intent. I'm finna leave your ass. All right, y'all lollygagging in the store. You're about to get left. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. Just like you still speak indigenously, you still speak Sephardically too. Finna also has Irish roots because the Ladinos was also Irish people. When we talk about the European, right? When they say Sephardics and Moors were being exiled from Europe, it's more than just the Iberian in Spain and Portugal. There were Ladinos. You got Irish Ladinos, you got Portuguese Ladinos, you got Spaniard Ladinos, Dutch Ladinos, and so on and so French Ladinos, which are Huguenots. You know what I'm saying? And because of these Ladinos of different regions, it plays an effect in our accents today. Oh yeah, we're going to get to it. Let me see what my battery on. We on 47. Okay, I'm still cool right now. So this is why AAVE uses finna more powerfully than Southern whites do. Listen, I told you, our accent is totally different from Southern whites. Now, those people who are either immigrants or not accustomed to us Southern folk or Black American culture, they think we sound, a lot of motherfuckers think that we sound like Southern white folk. But we know we don't sound shit like Southern white folk. They got a completely different accent than what we do because of what their ancestry is. You know what I'm saying? We got totally different accents from them. But you have to kind of like really grow up in the South to understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so this is why we utilize finna more powerfully than Southern whites do. It carries indigenous cadence and Ladino purpose markers, not Anglo-Saxon, right? So now, we're going to put a pause in that because I just want to break down that influence to y'all. Let's go ahead and get that talks about the Irish. We're going to come back to the Irish. While I got y'all here, 60 people in here plus, go ahead and hit that repost button for your boy. We're going to go ahead and dive into everybody's region. Right? We're going to go ahead and dive into everybody's region. Just break down y'all accent. Can we talk about y'all accent for a second? Let's talk about the accent. Let's talk about the way that you pronunciate shit. All right? You got folks up north, they shit more like hard, rugged. They direct with shit to the point that you don't know if they playing with you. You don't know if they serious, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know. And then you got folks in the mid area, right? They utilize the U and the R's, right? Her, there, right? Her, Cuban, music, you know what I'm saying? All that shit, right? They utilize that U-R shit. When you come down here to like Florida, Georgia, we utilize that W and everything, right? We say Florida. We say Georgia. We say Carolina. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain accent to everything, right? When you get to Louisiana, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know how Louisiana get down, you know what I'm saying? You heard me? You know, instead of saying oil, they say Earl. You know what I'm saying? They got a little French cadence to it, right? The French Latinos. Just break down y'all accents for a second. Just in case y'all ever wonder where your accent come from. We're going to go ahead and break it down. So below is the deep, detailed breakdown of Black American accents across the U.S. And it reflects specific mixtures of indigenous, Ladino, Moorish, or Sephardic, right? French, Spanish, Irish, Scottish, Creole influences. Okay? All right, Pete Gang. Appreciate the gifts, y'all. Thank y'all for the gifts. Appreciate that, right? And this will blow your mind because once you see this pattern, it'll all click. Oh, yeah. When you see this pattern, it will all click. I promise you, by the time we get to the end of this, it will click. Remember, French Latinos, Spanish Latinos, or Spaniard Latinos, Irish Latinos, Scottish Latinos, right? Okay? Indigenous people. Keep that in your mind. So, the truth, Black American accents are the map of our ancestry, actually. This is how you could tell who's African, who's not. Okay? This is how you could tell who's us in that. And, man, look. This is how you could tell who is us and who is not us. Because people can pretend our accents, but one thing they can't pretend is the vibration, the frequency, the rhythm, and the indigenousness of our accents. Because you can pretend that European shit all day long of the Ebonics side, but what you can't pretend is that indigenousness, because you have to grow up with indigenous people to even have that. So even when people fake our accent, listen closely, because they missing that indigenousness to it, and you can spot the fake. I'm telling you some real game, all right? Because there's a lot of people who's pretending to be us right now, right? So now, right? So our accents literally map our ancestry. So every regional Ebonic accents came from 1, which indigenous tribes we mix with, 2, which Ladino Sephardic groups settled there, and 3, which European groups were nearby, which European groups were nearby Irish, French, Scottish, Huguenots, and Spaniard and Portuguese. Okay? So these three is what makes your accent today. And the crazy thing is, you still sound like your ancestors too. Our ancestors, man, look, everybody know we still sound like our ancestors. So again, let's continue going. I had to flip the page. So every regional Ebonic accents came from which indigenous tribes we mix with, right? On top of which Ladino Sephardic groups settled there in that region, okay? Which European groups were nearby Irish, French, Scottish, Huguenot, Spanish, Spaniard, and Portuguese. Which Creole and Maroon communities already existed, okay? Because remember, Creole and Maroon communities been here before the United States corporation ever took off. So let's deal with Louisiana real quick. Shout out to all my Louisiana folks. I don't know if we got any Louisiana people in here, or 70 people in here, but let's go ahead and dissect Louisiana for a second. Okay? Let's go ahead and dissect Louisiana for a second, right? So Louisiana, the Ladino plus the indigenous plus the French fusion, right? The indigenous plus the French Ladino fusion, okay? All right. The Ladino plus the French Ladino plus the indigenous fusion. Okay. So you nailed this. All right. You nailed this. Louisiana French Black accent equals French Huguenots. Many were Ladinos or cryptic Sephardic. Plus the Shada, the Huma tribe, and the Natchez indigenous. And then you sprinkle the Moors from Spain, from St. Domingo in there. And then you got to add the Gullah Geechee migration from the coastal Carolinas. Remember, the Seminoles and the Geechee went over to the Mexican territory, which was still Louisiana, part of Louisiana at that time, right? So there's a lot of Geechee influences as well. All right. All of this combination and fusion is why Louisiana Ebonics has a musical melodic or melodic tone like French Creole, right? Hey, baby. You know what I'm saying? You hear me? This is what they talking about with it sounds like a musical melody when they say it, right? You heard me? Hey, baby. You know what I'm saying? That right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Shit, no, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Shout out to my cousins out there in Louisiana. That's the only reason why I know a lot of the accents like that. I be fucking with them. Shit, yeah. You know, all of that. Earl instead of oil. Yeah, all that. Right? So the vowels stretch like French in shadow words. That's what I was just explaining to you. The vowels stretch like French in shadow words. You hear me? Baby? Shit, no. You know what I'm saying? All right. Rhythms mimic indigenous drumming cadence. Heavy nasal sound, French plus indigenous influence. Louisiana Creole and Louisiana Ebonics are not broken French. They're indigenous American plus Ladino French and a sprinkle of Moorish Creole Spanish or Moorish Spaniard speech. This is what creates the Louisiana accent. Okay? Number 2, shout out to all my folks out there in South Carolina. Somebody said that they folks is from South Carolina. They from South Carolina, right? Shout out to all my folks out there in Charleston and everything. Y'all already know where y'all accent come from. You get real Gullah Geechee in this area, right? You know what I'm saying? We already know what it is. So when you enter South Carolina and certain parts of Georgia, right, you start entering that Gullah and that Geechee condor, okay? The purest survival of indigenous and Moorish Creole on the continent. This is the purest survival of indigenous Moorish Creole on the continent of America, with the indigenous base being Yamasee, Creek Muskogee, Gula or Gula or Gala, and Casabo. All right, Casabo. Mixed with Sephardic Latinos from Spanish Florida. Barbados Moors. Yes, Barbados had Moors first. All right. This is what the accent is. When you mix all of this up, you get the South Carolina and certain parts of Georgia accent. Okay. And here's examples of what I mean, right? I got examples for you, right? So here's accent traits of what I mean by this, right? And what they mean by this, right? The word they. As y'all heard when I was talking to y'all, used the word they, right? This is what they mean by this. Those of us who done had conversations with me on the phone and everything like that, y'all know that's how I talk, right? I say they. I don't say they. I don't know what the fuck they is, right? They. They for they. This instead of this. This over here. Right? This. This is indigenous phonics. I just said it right there. This is. This is indigenous phonics. This is indigenous phonics. Literally. This has a melody cadence with the Creek and the Yamasee tonal speech. The use of habitual duh and done equals indigenous grammar as well too. Rolling rhythms comes from the Irish/Moorish influence, right? Because a lot of us in South Carolina and Georgia do have Irish ancestors, right? So you got a company for the Irish as well too. So the rolling rhythms come from the Irish and the Moorish influence. This accent proves Black Americans didn't originate in Africa. It is too structurally indigenous. Okay? It is too structurally indigenous. Shout out to all my trolls in here, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's a lot of pale-skinned people with no culture. Shout out to y'all. Y'all in the wrong live. Coloreds only. Y'all in the wrong live. Coloreds only. You know what I'm saying? All right. Big Mississippian. All right. So that was for South Carolina and probably like North Georgia area, Savannah and all of that. Now, there's another part of Georgia that a lot of people don't understand or don't know exists, right? Now you get into Atlanta and Augusta. Okay? Bit 706 in the building, right? And why do I separate South Carolina and North Georgia from Atlanta and Augusta? That's because our accents change. All right. A lot of us in Augusta and Atlanta, we do have South Carolina ancestors and everything like that. But once you cross a certain region in Georgia, the accents change dramatically a little bit, right? We still have certain words that we still use or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? The gullah is there, but there's a little difference with Atlanta and Augusta though, right? And those of us from Georgia, I already know that, right? So when you get into Atlanta and Augusta, Georgia, right, you get into like a metro Ebonics. Today's Atlanta Ebonics is a base of Gullah Geechee base and Muskogee Creek grammar with a Southern Irish rhythm with a pinch of Moorish slang roots. Okay. Okay. We breaking down our Ebonics because we have a fused culture. This literally proves who we are in history as well too, and it's all good. It's all good. All right. So, yeah. So now the accent ingredients, right? Now we cooking up, right? We cooking, right? So now the accent ingredients, right? The accent ingredients, and I'm talking about accent ingredients, and since we talking about Augusta and Georgia, and y'all know where I'm from, listen to how I'm talking to y'all right now as I'm reading to this. I'm really telling y'all this stuff right here as y'all hear me speak right now, right? Because I am from both places. So we have soft vowels, which comes from the Creek language influence. Then you got a drawn out syllables, which comes from the Irish Southern settlers, right? The Black Irish who settled in the South, right? And then you got words like yin. Now, a lot of y'all from Atlanta, Augusta, and just Georgia period, y'all know how we do with that yin, right? Man, you ain't about that business that you be talking about, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Man, you ain't do that, nigga. Stop playing. Who, him right there? Man, he ain't about that life, right? That yin, right? We know it mean you ain't. That's literally coming from your Geechee. That's Geechee. That's coming from your Geechee. That boy ain't about it, man. You ain't about that business. You know what I'm saying? My mama used to get mad hearing that shit. Who broke the face? You broke the face, little man? Mama, I ain't even broke that. Man, you acting up in class? Man, I ain't even do that in class. Man, that teacher lying to me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. That Geechee in you. Yeah, that Geechee. Right? We got words like for sure. On God. Right? Words like I don't even, ION. I don't. Right? Short for I don't. Right? For sure. On God. I don't. This comes from Moorish Creole Cadians. Right? Moorish Creole Cadians. No wonder why white folks didn't understand. Yeah. And this how you know that the first Europeans wasn't white folks either. Because they don't understand. And this how you know the natives ain't the Indians over here. Because they don't understand either. Africans don't understand either. So when we tell people that we ain't a mixture of native Siberians, we don't got no white European in us, and we damn sure ain't African like y'all think it is. You feel me? Don't none of that shit fit what we talking about. But what do fit is Indigenous Americans and Latinos. Because this is the actual history of colonial times that I showed y'all. You know what I'm saying? So Atlanta accent sounds smooth because the Creek and the Gullah tones blend naturally, right? Augusta leans more to Geechee and Gullah because of the proximity to South Carolina. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Galaxy. Appreciate that gift, fam. Thank y'all for the support, man. I hope y'all enjoying this live. You know what I'm saying? And I hope everything making sense and it's clicking to you. Like in the beginning, I told you, once we start breaking it down, it's going to start clicking to you. So I hope it's all clicking on all cylinders, right? So Augusta lean more to Geechee and Gullah because of the proximity of South Carolina, right? For a lot of us who know Augusta, been there, grew up there, or from there, you know South Carolina ain't nothing but across the bridge, 5 minutes away. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? Depending where you at in the city, you know, my people from eastbound, right? We down there in the bottom. South Carolina, right across the bridge. 5-10 minutes away. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, a lot of Geechee influences is there too. Mm-hmm. Beach Island, South Carolina is Georgia. Facts. You know, especially back in colonial times, Carolina and Georgia was one anyways. Before they start drawing all these colonial boundary lines, a lot of these places was just one big ass territory, you know, with Indian villages that had Ladino people in it as well too, you know. We got a caller on the line, y'all. Hold on. Hey, am I there? Okay, I don't know if he knew he came up. All right, yeah, it was territory. Facts. North Augusta is South Carolina. Hey, y'all already know, man. So let's keep it going though. Let's keep it going, because I don't want to hold y'all. We on 37%. That's enough to get through it. So where are my Florida people at? I heard some people say that they was from Florida. Where are my bad? Where are my Florida people at? We still got some of the Florida people in here. Where y'all at? All right, I'm gonna bring you up in a second. Hold on, man. Let me get done with the teaching real quick. I'm kind of in, you know, in a certain flow. I don't want to break it real quick. You say you in Jackson, Florida? You say you guess you from Duval now. We ain't got no Florida people in here. Well, it's all good though, cause we gonna touch on Florida anyway. So, and shout out to Jacksonville, Florida though. So now Florida, right? Of course, Florida deals with Seminoles, Spanish Latinos, and Gullah mix. Okay, and we already know that the Gullah and the Geechee presence is heavy in Florida. You know, Seminoles, Gullah, Seminoles, pretty much the same people, right? Because we know Seminoles just mean is a confederation of different tribes who band together, right? They create the Seminoles, the San Maroon communities, right? Remember earlier we was talking about Maroon communities that existed before the United States. All right, the so-called Seminoles is a form of a Maroon community, right? That deals with a mixture of indigenous and Latinos, right? Spanish Latinos with these, right? That's why it's called Spanish Florida. Okay, and when you go to Florida, well, I haven't really been to Florida before, but from what I heard and from what, you know, my cousins in Miami and all of them say, you know, Florida has like a Spanish vibe to it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? When you go there, you get kind of like a Spanish vibe, you know, like you in like one of the Spanish islands or something like that. I don't know how true that is. I ain't never been there, but you know, what's happening, Niji Minds, peace. So Florida Ebonics sound different because it comes from Seminoles or Creek, Yamasee, and Black Maroons, right? And we know these Black Maroons are Latinos, okay? You say it's like Georgia, but more palm trees and lizards and animals. Okay, cool. And right, so Florida Ebonics sound different because it comes from Seminoles, right? Creek, Yamasee, and Black Maroons or Latinos. Spanish Latinos from St. Augustine, Bahama Black Seminoles, right? Yes, there's Black Seminoles in the Bahama, because remember, Seminoles is just another word for Maroon or Maroon community, right? Maroons. That's all that means. So, of course, there's Black Seminoles in the Bahamas, right? And I read to y'all that there was different Maroon communities in the islands, right? Boom. And then you got the Gullah freed men, not freemen, but freed men, right? Remember what that is, okay? Pure blood Indian, huh? All right, so peep gang. So when you go to Florida, the traits is faster speech, like a Bohemian influence. You got stronger S sounds, which stems from Spanish or Ladino influence, right? You got the word like jit, or they utilize green or slide or etc. That stems from the Maroon Seminole slang, right? Jit, he green as hell, right? Slide and all of that. That shit come from around like Maroon Seminole slang. Okay? Peep game. So Florida Ebonics is indigenous and Spanish Ladino mixture, right? That explains their accent when you go down there. But notice that we all still have the same grammar though. Only thing is changing is our accent. That's one thing I want to let y'all know, right? We still mound builders, right? We still got the same dialect, right? The same indigenous based dialect and indigenous grammar everywhere we go. This is how we tell our people. The only thing that's changing is our accents, right? It's just our accents. This is what I'm stressing. It's just our accent. I'm explaining your accent. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So now when we get to Virginia, right? Shout out to Virginia. Virginia got an Algonquin Ladino English, you know what I'm saying? So-called tobacco coast to their speech. Okay? Virginia Black speech is deep, old, and regal because it comes from Powhatan Algonquin grammar, Ladino English settlers, Irish indentures, and Scottish Highlanders, and early Moorish servants. And the traits of this is when you get to Virginia, you get a hard R word, which is the Powhatan influence. You get softened consonants, which is your Scottish and Irish, right? You get words like ain't no, doubling, right? Ain't no, which is doubling negatives, right? Ain't no, right? You're doubling negatives, which is an indigenous emphasis, right? Words like show and mo, right? Algonquin vowel simplifications. So this accent is root of many East Coast Ebonics patterns, right? So that's Virginia for you. Shout out to Virginia. All right. We get into Chicago. How many people from Chicago? I don't know how many people in here is from Chicago, but we in Chicago with it. Y'all already know how I get down in Chicago. Shout out to the Chi-Town. All right. It's breakdown Chicago accent. A lot of us probably already know Chicago accent, where it comes from. Very Southern. It's like city Southern. But shout out to Chi-Town though, right? It break down Chicago accent. So Chicago accent is a Southern indigenous with a mix of the Great Migration, right? Because a lot of Chicagoans are there because of the Great Migration, right? Some of y'all grandparents come from Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and stuff like that, right? So you got that Southern indigenous mix with it, right? So Chicago Black accent, right, equals Ladino Americans, right? They're going to say African American, but we already know what it is, right? Ladino American, right? From Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, moving north, okay? So many of them brought with Creek Muskogee grammar, Gullah Southern Cadians, Mississippi Delta Creole, some Louisiana influence. So the traits, my bad, y'all. So the traits, when you get to Chicago or you listen to Chicago people, the traits of their accent and of this fusion is you get a faster rhythm, right? From the city environment. You get sharper consonants. You get words like Joe, folks, tweaking, right? On bro. This is Chicago street Creole. This is Chicago street Creole. Now, there's a lot of people from Chicago in here, or a few people from Chicago. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But you get Chicago street Creole. That's what it's called. Chicago Ebonics is Southern indigenous slang with a Ladino twang to it. Just like everybody else, right? Just like everybody else, right? Okay. Shout out to California. We got some Cali people in here. Let's talk about Cali. You know, a lot of people like to make fun of Cali accent and stuff like that. You know, Cali do have a unique accent by them. You know what I'm saying? They do got a unique accent out there in Cali. Cali also, just like a lot of other people, have Southern indigenous influence, of course, right? With Spanish Moorish traits. which isn't far-fetched since California was a Spanish colony, or the Spanish was over there in the West. So it's not far-fetched. You said St. Louis, Chicago, Illinois, same Aboriginal seed bloodline. Yeah, facts. So California black accent didn't originate there. I know it's going to shock a lot of y'all. Some of y'all, it ain't going to shock because y'all know history. But that accent that y'all hear from people in Los Angeles and, you know, South Central and all of that, you know what I'm saying? Even Opium, when he gets to talking, you know what I'm saying? That California accent didn't originate there in Cali. It actually came from Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi migrants mingling together. And it is layered with Spanish, Latino introductions, Moorish, Sephardic, Iberian remnants, so-called Mexican Spanish. And the traits, right, words like hella stems from the Irish miners, okay? And Kairos in West Africa. We already know who the Kairos are, right? Those are Sephardics. You know, instead of using bruh, they say bro instead, right? Some people say bruh, right? They shorten the vowels, which comes from the Spanish influence. So Cali Ebonics is modern, but still traces back to Southern indigenous roots. Okay? So Pete Gang, shout out to Cali. All right. St. Louis, yeah. Just go up north with it. We got some northerners in here. Somebody said New York City. I'm about to talk about New York City. Hold y'all horses. Let's take it up north for a second. Let's get into New York. My bad. I got to say it the right way. Let's get into New York, son. You know what I'm saying? New York. You know, you got to say it hard. New York. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all a lot of New Yorkers be mad at y'all imitating them, not because of how you saying it, it's because the tone is off. Y'all in New York, you know what I'm saying? You got to sound like you about to jack a nigga up. You know what I'm saying? That's how they coming. You feel me? Stop playing with them, son. Dead ass. You know what I'm saying? Head at it. You know what I'm saying? Pete Gang though. So absolutely, the northerner black accents like New York City, New Jersey, Philly, and Detroit are just as deeply tied to indigenous and Latino and Southern Geechee Creek roots. Because we know a lot of us from Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, the Great Migration took a lot of our people up north. So that's where that Geechee and that Creek come in at. You know what I'm saying? That southernness. That you're still here. You just got to listen for it. Up northerners still got that little country twang to them. You just got to catch it. You feel me? I like to say up northerners are just aggressive southerners. Yeah, they just aggressive southerners, right? It's still there. You just got to listen to it. It's just more hard. All right. So, but with the new layer though, there's a new layer. So because of the Great Migration in the urban melting pot and the Caribbean influence that happened up north, here's the real breakdown of how the northerner Ebonics accent formed and what they reveal about ancestry. Hey, appreciate that, OG Tribe. I ain't never seen that one. Hey, that's dope. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So let's start with New York in the 5 boroughs. Bum country as hell. Boroughs. My bad. I know boroughs. I know y'all say the boroughs, the 5 boroughs. Well, I'm Southern, so the 5 boroughs. Okay. So, New York City Black English equals Southern roots, Caribbean and Sephardic Latino remnants. Okay. So the root in sources, number 1, the Great Migration from Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia. Okay, that happened. Now, I don't know how many of y'all from New York in here, but y'all got ancestors from down south, Georgia, Carolinas mainly. Some of y'all probably got that Virginia, but I know a lot of New Yorkers got a lot of Carolina and Georgia ancestors. You know what I'm saying? I know that for sure, right? Because I got cousins in Flatbush, New York, Queens, New York, and Staten Island. They ass roots come back down to Georgia. They used to come down south every summer, and they used to complain for 3 months straight about the South. You know what I'm saying? They for 3 months, just it's hot, nigga. It's the bugs and shit. You be like, come on, G. You've been coming down south for 10 years. You know how it is, bro. You need to pack right. You know what I'm saying? So, peak game. But because of the great migration from Georgia and the Carolinas into Virginia, and because of this great migration, it brought the indigenous Geechee, Muskogee grammar. It came with them. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Kentucky in just a second. I'm gonna talk about it. We going through a lot of regions. So because of this great migration, it brought the Geechee and the Muskogee grammar, right? Number two, the Caribbean migration that happened, because, you know, a lot of Caribbeans was coming over here before Ellis Island, right? There's a lot of content creators that, you know, that like to shit on our Caribbean brothers and sisters, and we ain't gonna let them do that because this is Indian business. Okay, we talking about Indian business, all right? The foundation. Remember the foundation. So a lot of our Caribbean brothers and sisters been coming over here before the United States, before, just all through history, right? So this ain't no coinky-dink. So because of the Caribbean migration, it brought a large influx. What's that in Mocha? It brought a large influx of Jamaican, Trinidadian, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rican influences. And these influences from the Caribbean migration brought the Moorish and Iberian and Ladino influence, which came with them. Okay? So the Ladino influence came with the Caribbean migrants. Okay? So when the Great Migration happened in Georgia, Carolinas, Virginia, the Geechee and the Muskogee, you got the Caribbean migration, which is the Ladino migration coming in with, of course, with a few indigenous people because of the family that was happening in the Caribbeans, right? And then you got this old New York City Black Dutch, Black Lenape family accent going on, right? You know, a lot of people don't understand about the Black Dutch up north. We will touch on the up north history. Right now, we just covering Southern history and the basis and the foundation, so we can understand what happened at the root. And then once we start going up north, it starts branching out like a tree, and then it paints a better picture for everybody and starts clicking. So probably like next year, not next year, but probably like a week from now, we'll start touching on up north history for a lot of our brothers and sisters up north, right? The great migrations and all of that. But for right now, though, in colonial times, in old New York City, you got Black Dutch people who are still Latinos, your Dutch masters, right? Your Dutch masters, all right, peep game. And then you got the Lenape families. These are your indigenous Algonquin. This brought your indigenous Algonquin grammar base, right? The Sephardic Jewish presence dating back to 1654. Okay, New York had a large Sephardic Jew presence up there as well too, and a lot of y'all Sephardic Jews still up there, when you do your genealogy. But New York had one of the largest Sephardic Jew presence that goes all the way back to 1654. And as a matter of fact, New York City had the first Sephardic synagogue in America. All right, little side gem for y'all who don't know that, right? New York had the first Sephardic Jew synagogue. Okay, I think it was like in Brooklyn or something. It was one of the 5 boroughs. All right. And then these early Dutch were actually Moors, right? Because remember, Latinos, even though we name in different European regions, these are still Latinos and Sephardics, right? Spaniard Latinos, Portuguese Latinos, French Latinos, Irish Latinos, Scottish Latinos, Dutch Latinos, etc., right? This is who this is. In 1492, they were expelling all Latinos from Europe. Not just the Iberian, but they was kicking them all out of Europe, and they was bringing them out, and they all was coming here. Okay, so the Dutch that we talked about, the Black Dutch in New York, was actually Moors, or the Black Freemen, right? A lot of New Yorkers, when they do their genealogy, they would have this freeman, right? Not freed, they would have a freeman. Understand the freeman is another reclassification of a Moor who was successfully converted over to Christianity, which made him a freeman on paper. All right, so peep gang. That's another little side gem that I taught y'all, right? All right, so peep gang. So now the New York accent traits explained. I know y'all, New York accent is deep. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we've been talking about the accent for a while, but shit. But anyway, but it's dope though. It's dope. But the New York City accent traits explained, right? This is where we start getting into New York accent traits explained. Anybody from New York City, feel free to comment inside the comments if I'm telling the truth or it's false. So the New York accent traits explained from all of this fusion. You get vocabulary words like dead ass, right? Son, the word of son, right? Yo, son, right? The word be, yo, be, right? Those are actually Creek, Geechee, and Caribbean blendings, right? Dead ass, yo, son, word, be. All of those come from Greek, Geechee, Caribbean blendings. The rapid pace in their speech, right? When you go up north, they talk fast in the motherfucker. I'm gonna keep it all the way a $1.10 with you. They talk fast as shit. They will out talk you. If you a southerner like me, they will out talk you. Don't get into no argument with nobody from up north. They will out talk you, and that's how they win. You be like, God damn, can I get a word in? You know what I'm saying? 100 miles an hour, right? But the rapid pace in the speech is because of the New Amsterdam Dutch, right? The Moors, and the Caribbean speech tempo. Remember, the Caribbean speak fast, right? The Caribbean speech tempo as well, too. Okay? And the Geechee speak fast as well, right? So, peep gang. So, this is why they should be rapid pace up there. Okay? Then you get the hard consonants, which comes from the Lenape or Algonquin speech patterns, right? The hard consonants, right? The core. Get in the core. Yo, son. Money. You know what I'm saying? Money. Like, why you gotta say the M so hard like that? Yo, ball. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that, right? Hard consonants. That comes from the Algonquin, though, the speech pattern. Okay? Words like yo, which is a shout word. Yo. Hey, yo. You know what I'm saying? Yo, son. You know what I'm saying? Yo, money. That yo shit, right? That yo shout word. That's actually an indigenous war call. And we all do it. Not just New Yorkers, but we all do it. That's something that's actually universal in all of us, no matter what region we is. That yo, that's actually an indigenous war call. And we use it for such too. Right? If some shit going on, hey yo, yo, get down. Yo, OCO. That's where that come from. The yo come from OCO, Algonquin, right? OCO, yo. We all do that. Okay, but they do it a lot up there, right? They throw yo in front of every fucking thing, right? But you know, right? The questioning, you good? Right? Yo, you good? Right? That's a Geechee Moorish indirect questioning. Right? Like when New Yorkers say, yo, you good? I don't really think they mean, are you really good? Like how my cousins explain it's kind of like how we use it in the South a little bit, but like that shit can be meant for like an altercation. Yo, you good? I'm checking your temperature, nigga. You good? Right? So it's kind of like the same way. Why? Because that Geechee influence that went up there. Right? Yeah, it can mean a few things. Facts, saying Joe. It can mean a lot of different. It's the tonal, which is something that we do in the South, right? But that's because of that Geechee that went up north during the Great Migration. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of stuff is universal, and some stuff is uniquely to the region. Okay, so New York City, Black English equals Southern Indigenous grammar, Caribbean cadence, and Moorish slang and Lenape leftovers. That's crazy with the Lenape leftovers. All right. Now we getting into New Jersey. How many people from New Jersey? I'm just showing up north some love because every time we talk about history, we don't really talk about up north. We always keep stuff in the South a lot. So, you know, I'm just showing some love to the up north folks first. You know, I mean, we're going to get back to the South, but, you know, I just want to get the up north out the way because we don't really talk about it. Like, is you cool? Yeah, we say that too. Shout out to New Ward. What's happening, Lou? Peace, peace. He said they say we don't have culture because we are the base of the culture and the blend. Ah, yeah, everything is, we are the base. The foundation is always Indigenous American, and we are the Indigenous American. And ironically, we also the Latinos. I mean, since we're talking about us today, we are the Indigenous Americans, and most of us is the Latinos mixed too. You know, little admixture. That's what that European is in your genealogy. When they like to say, you know, African Americans, they sub-Saharan African and European and indigenous. That African and that European is the same people. Are Latinos, Sephardic Jews and Moors that was being exiled from Europe in the 1400s. All right. So that collapses that, you know, we mix with all three different motherfuckers, and then they be trying to say, you know, white people, Siberians and continental. Man, that's bullshit, because we don't look like neither one of them. Okay, and none of our culture reflects none of that shit. But what our culture do reflects is that we are Indigenous Americans foundation with Ladino admixtures. So you're not 25% white European, you're 25% Ladino. Some of us might be 10%, 15%, you know, 25% Ladino. The rest of you is Indigenous American. 75 to 90% Indigenous American, 10 to 25% Ladino, depending on how your genealogy is set up. That's it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. You say, I got hella European in my genealogy. Boy, that crazy as hell. You probably got a lot of Latinos in your family tree. Some of us will descend from more Latinos than indigenous people. You know what I'm saying? It just all depends on your genealogy. Some of us have to have more Latinos than Indians in their tree. Some of us have to have more Indians than Latinos in our tree. This is just the story of the mixture, the caste system, the colonial America. You know what I'm saying? So it's not far-fetched. This why at the end of the day, it depends on your tree and genealogy and what you see. I'm just giving you the clues and terminologies and what happened in the cultural fusion to make it make sense, if that makes sense. So shout out to New Jersey. Let's go ahead and tap into New Jersey for a minute, right? Shout out to New Jersey. All right. So New Jersey, right? North, Central, and South New Jersey. New Jersey is 3 different dialect zones. Excuse me. Did they label Latinos white? They labeled Latinos white and colored and Negro. They did the same paper genocide that they did to the Indians. A lot of Latinos was classified under white. Some of them was classified as Negro or colored. It all depended on their status coming over here. Because those are status. It just depends on their status. The Latinos who were indentured servants or slaves, of course, they was labeled Negroes. Those who were so-called slave owners or masters or whatever the case may be, or head of households, they were classified as white, right? The ones who lived amongst the Indians and, you know, and got absorbed by the Indians and all of that, they was labeled as colored, free colored, or freed men as well too. So it just all depends on the status of the time of the people. Yeah, and mulatto too. Some the light skinned Indians or the light skinned Latinos were classified as mulatto. So yeah, what's happening, Miss P. Hardy? Peace. So New Jersey. Now I don't know too much about New Jersey, but they said New Jersey is 3 different dialect zones. That's deep. All right. So New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey City, right? Hold on, what? That shit confused me. Hold on. Newark, New Jersey, Jersey City, and Patterson. Sounds like New York City because a lot of Harlem and Bronx families moved to New Jersey. So certain parts of, okay, I see what they're saying. So North Jersey, I see it, North Jersey, Newark, Jersey City, and Patterson. They sound like New York City because a lot of Harlem and Bronx families moved there. And they got heavy Caribbean settlements that happen as well too. And then you got Lenape indigenous base, right? But Jersey has softer vowels, right? More bruh, less son. right? New York, they, yo, son. Jersey, they be like, bruh, okay? So they got softer vowels, right? More Southern Geechee carryover in Jersey. This happens because New Jersey was a stop in the Great Migration before reaching New York City. So a lot of families stopped in New Jersey before they reached to New York City, okay? That makes sense. It makes sense, okay? Now, he said, yeah, they super close. They like 45 minutes, 2-hour ride, depending where you're going. Yeah, Jersey is close as hell from what I've heard. It's like right there. A lot of New Yorkers is not from New York. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true. If you find a pure-blooded indigenous New Yorker, you probably found a diamond in the rough. I mean, they probably do exist. But I'm saying if you find a pure blood, nigga, my ancestors from New York, nigga. I'm talking about since ancient mound builder day. You find one of them, boy, you found a diamond in the rough. You know what I'm saying? You found a diamond in the rough. I'm just gonna be all the way 100. Cause a lot of folks from up north come from the south. For real, a lot of folks from up north come from the south though. You know, whether they first, second, or third generation Southerners. So now when you get into central Jersey, right? When you get into central Jersey, right? Trenton, New Brunswick, this area has a Philadelphia Philly influence, and they have a South Carolina Geechee root to it, right? Some Amish or Pennsylvania Dutch linguistic effect. Remember, the Amish and the Dutch are the Moors as well too, right? So Central Jersey has a Philly influence, right? It's kind of like a South Carolina Geechee root with like some Moorish, Dutch, Amish, Pennsylvania linguistic effect, right? Words like John, right? That John right there, right? John. It bleeds slightly into Trenton, right? Slower than New York City, but sharper than Philly with the accents, right? They have an ancient Lenape grammar pattern that remains there, okay? Right? Now, most Boulets in New York. Yeah, sadly, New York is one of the stomping grounds of the Boulay. North Jersey is close to New York City. South Jersey is further away. Jersey sound bigger than what it really is. How y'all explain New Jersey to me every time I talk about it? Jersey sound bigger than what it is on the map. And I'm sorry, that's just my southernness, because I ain't never been that far up north. So all I have is this corrupted map that we have, right? So it makes Jersey and Philly and a lot of these states seem small, but the way y'all be explaining it, this shit sound quite big. He said, nah, it's small. He said, yeah, damn. So I said, nah, it's small. Said, we're next door to Philly. Okay. Your family from the Carolinas, but we've been back and forth for 3 generations now. Facts. He said, come visit. Man, look, shit. I don't know about come visiting up north. Oh, man. I don't know about visiting. That boy said on your trauma tour, waking everybody up. I'm silly as hell. That boy wilding. Jersey shares borders. Okay. Jersey got mad farmland and mountain ranges, lakes, and such big rivers packed in that state. Oh, okay. Shit. Okay. Damn, it's farmland up north. They said you spot on, bro. I'm from Trenton, and my town is surrounded by Baltimore, DC, and Philly. Facts. Okay. All right. Let's flip the page real quick. So now we get into Philly. All right. We get into Philly. Right? How many people from Philly? I don't know how many people from Philly in here. Right? It's 93 people in here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for the likes, the love, the gifts. Hope y'all enjoying the live. If you're new to the page, make sure you hit that follow button so you'll be notified every time I go live. We do this all the time, every day. Right? Shout out to Philly. Anybody from Philly in here, shout out to y'all. All right, shout out to Philly. We breaking down accents. All right, we breaking down our accents. We breaking down our grammar. We breaking down our Ebonics, how our Ebonics is a fusion of Indigenous American and Latino culture, which makes our Ebonics, right? This is what we breaking down. For those who missed it, I'll do a recap to the beginning, but let me just go ahead and roll through this thing. What's happening, Capri? Peace, peace. So check it out. So Philly, right? Philadelphia is one of America's oldest black accents. Okay, Philly has one of the, Philly and people from Philly, their accents is one of America's oldest accents, because Philly, right? Philly Black English or Philly Ebonics is directly tied to indigenous groups such as the Lenape of Delaware, the Susquehannock, and the Natticoke tribes. Okay, colonial groups, right? The oldest free so-called black communities in America dating back to the 1600s. Early Moors from Spain and Portuguese ships, Irish Quakers, Scottish indentures, Sephardic Jews like New York City. This fusion is what begins to make the Philadelphia accent that we hear today. Okay? So the accent traits of Philly will be words like John, right? I don't have a Philly accent, so forgive me, right? So John, right? It comes from the indigenous trade jargon in so-called West African Kairos. But we know that the Kairos are the Kairos of Egypt, who are Sephardics, right? We already know that because we did our history. We went through the books, and a lot of my OGs remember me covering that. And then you got the Irish Yan, Y-A-N, Yan. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I'm not from Philly, so forgive me. Okay? So, so the ER sound, like wood ear or church, is a Lenape vowel structure. Okay, it's a strong nasal drawn. It has a strong nasal drawn accent, which comes from the French Huguenots in the indigenous mix. All right, they got fast consonants and shortened. Right, I ain't even know that. Right, because that's that Geechee and that Muskogee from the South kicking in. Because a lot of us in the South say that, right? I ain't even know that. But they don't have the yin, right? Remember we talked about that yin, Y-E-E-N. Right? I'm not from Philly, I don't know. But from some of the Philly people that I talked about, they don't have that yin, right? I ain't even know that, right? I ain't even. So now it's just, I don't even know, right? So peep gang, so Philly is one of the most indigenous coded dialects in Black America, though. Peep gang. Okay? So Philly has one of the oldest indigenous coded dialects in Black America. All right, let's swing it on over to Detroit. Shout out to all my folk from Detroit. I don't know how many people from the Motor City, but shout out to Detroit, though. Shout out to Detroit. You said we say ain't even? Yeah. Shout out to my Detroit folk. My mama from Detroit, Michigan. Shout out to all my folk from up there. I got family from over there, right? So Pete gang. So with Detroit, right? Now, Detroit has a southern route with Midwest city speed. And what up, though? What up, though? Yeah. You literally just put in what I was just about to explain. Like, real talk. You really just put in what I was just about to explain, right? With that, what up, though? When you say that, what up, though? That's a southern route in Midwest city speed, right? Detroit is a pure Great Migration dialect. All right, people in Detroit, our brothers and sisters indigenously from Detroit, right? They have a pure Great Migration dialect. And what I mean by a Great Migration dialect, a lot of folks in Detroit, their families come from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and South Carolina. right? Flint, Michigan too. You know what I'm saying? You know, when we talk about it, you know, we talking about Michigan, but you know, Flint and Detroit, right? They families come from Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and South Carolina. These areas are Gullah and Geechee, or Gullah Geechee, Creek, Muskogee, Shada, and Yamasee ancestry. Okay? All right. Now, some of y'all in here probably from Michigan, Flint, or Detroit. Some of y'all got these tribes in y'all genealogy, do you not? Some of y'all families came from some of these states, did they not? Okay. So the additional influences is Black Canadians. Uh-oh. About to throw a curveball in here. About to throw a curveball right here. Black Canadians also contribute to Detroit and Michigan and Flint's accents. Y'all ain't know about them black, I mean, shit, Canada is right there. How y'all not think Black Canadians wasn't in Detroit? It's right there, right? Acadians, exactly. The Acadians, right? Those Black Canadians or Acadians have Moorish or Ladino lineage. Okay? Have that Ladino lineage. And then you had some Caribbean migrations that also went to Detroit and Michigan, right? But you have a French Detroit settlement remnants in Detroit. So when you break down Detroit accents, it is a combination of Gullah Geechee, right? Creek, Muskogee, Shada, Yamasee, with some Black Canadians with the Moorish Arcadian line, and some Caribbean migration. And then you got French settlements that was also in Detroit with the Huguenots. Exactly. Latinos as well too. So Indians and Latinos. So because of this mixture, because of this fusion, what's happening, Zah? Because of this fusion, the Detroit accent traits, they have heavy vowels, which comes from Mississippi and Alabama base. They got stretched syllables, which comes from the Creek and the Muskogee influence. They got a hard R, which is a Midwest Algonquin impact. When you say, what up, though? Just like we said earlier today, right? What up, though? That comes from the Muskogee greeting rhythm. What up, though? OCO, right? That's why I did that right there, right? So you can see that it comes from the Muskogee greeting rhythm. What up, though? OCO. Same rhythm. All right. On the flow, or on the flow, right? I ain't know nothing. These stem from the Geechee Southern syntax. On the flow. I ain't know nothing. So Detroit's Ebonics is a mixture of Southern indigenous dialects with Midwest Algonquin and industrial city slang. Okay? You said you sound like them too? My mama from Detroit. I got family up there in Detroit. A lot of my family is up north. A lot of my family up north. A lot of them left the South a long time ago. I got family in Chicago, Detroit, New York, St. Louis. Shit. I think that's probably it for real. Yeah, when we talk about higher than the South, my family in those places. In Shreveport, Louisiana, but that's still the South though. But when we talking about up north and all of that, Detroit, Chicago, which is the Midwest, but still northern to me, in New York. So a lot of my family up there, I got cousins up there, so I be talking to them. Man, growing up doing family reunions, that shit was funny as hell. But for real, growing up and having family reunions, man, that shit used to be funny as hell. All these different accents came in. Like, inside the family reunions, when we all used to come back to grandmama's house and shit, everybody accents mysteriously leave. Like, they come down sounding like how they sound, but once we get into grandmama environment and we relaxing and we having fun, we all sound the damn same at the end of the day. That shit crazy as hell. But P gang. So now the summary of what we broke down with the Northerners, right? So the summary of Northern Black accents are not random. They come from the same ancestral blend as the South. right? We already know that, right? Said they came from the same ancestral blend as the South, but shaped by the Great Migration. Okay? Shaped by the Great Migration. All right? So that is the Southern black accent. Oh, my bad. I still had some more reading to do. Hold on. So, so the summary of Northern so-called black accents or Ebonics are not random. They come from the same ancestral blend as the South, but shaped by Great Migration, indigenous tribes in those regions, Sephardic Moorish communities, Caribbean immigrants, and urban speech comparison. Every city has a unique recipe. Okay, every city has a unique recipe. Now let's take it back down to the South though, right? So that's the up north accents, right? So we got to go back to the root of everything, right? Because we left off in the South. Now, where did we leave off in the South? Oh, well, hold on. We didn't really leave off in the South. We left off right. Yeah, we did. Hold on. Hold on. Boop, 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 boop. Bigger picture. Truth. Let's see, Louisiana. Yeah, we left off in the South. We did Carolina, did Atlanta, Augusta, did Florida, we did Virginia, we did Chicago, we did Cali. All right, so yeah. So here's the accents. So now, you said Tethers trying to teach Tethers to speak like FBAs so they can blend in. What are you talking about, Katie Ben? I don't know what she talking about. So if I miss certain states, I will cover them in other, because, you know, we can talk about the language all day long, right? So the big truth, right? The accents prove the history, right? The accents prove the history. I don't know what the fuck Katie talking about. She's talking about Tethers teaching Tethers to speak like FBAs. What the fuck is an FBA? The fuck is an FBA? How do you speak like a FBA? Our accents is older than what the fuck FBA stands for. But anyways, though, that's because niggas don't know history. But anyways, so the big truth, the accents prove the history. Okay? Every Black American accent is the linguistic DNA of indigenous American tribes we descend from, with a sprinkle of Ladino or Sephardic Moorish bloodlines, Creole Maroon communities, Irish Scottish contact, right? Spanish and French colonial mixing. You can literally listen to someone and know the blend. You can. I do this shit all the time. Even when y'all come up to my panel, I listen to y'all accents, and I kind of can know where y'all from, and I kind of can know what your genealogy is a little bit, because I can kind of listen to y'all accents and know the different blend of it, right? But you can listen to someone and know the blend. All you got to do is just listen, right? All you got to do is just listen. So for those who is just coming in here, I got to go back so y'all can see what we talking about, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people late to class. Some folks are lost. We are breaking down Ebonics. We are breaking down how it's ancestrally tied to our genealogy, which makes sense with the history and how we're all connected. Shout out everybody that's in here, supporting the live, liking the live, sharing the live, reposting the live. Thank y'all for the gifts. Thank y'all for the likes. Shout out to the subscribers. I really do appreciate y'all for tuning in. Because one thing we know about our language is that it is uniquely different from everybody around the world. You know what I'm saying? You said facts. I'm saying Black immigrants and foreigners try to pretend to be us. Well, you know, it just all depends on who you talking about. Because like like we broke down in this, there's a lot of Caribbean indigenous ties to a lot of our Ebonics, because we share ancestral ties with our Caribbean brothers and sisters, whether people know it or not. Now, when you're talking about continental Africans from Nigeria and the modern immigrants, right, Black Europeans and all of that, then yeah, I would agree with you. They are trying to pretend to be us and sound like us. This is why I'm telling our people, you can listen to the accent, the dialect, the vocabulary, and the way that we form our words and understand each other, and you can find your people. Because a lot of these so-called immigrants who's pretending to be us, they don't sound like us. Even when they try to use Ebonics, they're missing soul. There's no soul behind their Ebonics. There's no rhythm to the Ebonics. There's no indigenous ties to it. It feels empty, right? And we know, because when we hear other immigrants speak Ebonics, we be like, yeah, it sounds off when you say it, right? When we be hearing everybody trying to sound like us, we all said the same thing in our head. It sound off. It's missing something. It's missing soul. It's missing indigeneity. It's missing that goddamn grandmama that we always raised from. Because some things is inherently, some things you get because you are raised in the culture. And that's what they're missing. You can't fake Big Mama, right? You can't fake Big Mama. And that's what they missing. You dig what I'm saying? So a lot of us know what it is. You just gotta listen. What's that in CC? You just gotta listen. Just gotta listen. Just got to listen. And you can hear it. Yep. A lot of them do got ancestors that come here. Right? Let me catch up in the comments real quick. Our bloodline is so vast that it got many accents and languages to it. Yeah, facts, facts. The energy be off. All right. The cadence be off, right? So I got a few more slides. I'm glad y'all enjoying this live. Right? I'm glad y'all enjoying this live. Glad y'all are. Excuse me. Okay, we talked about the South. Oh, we didn't really finish talking about the South. My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. I forgot. How can I forget about the South and forget my brothers in Memphis? How y'all gonna let me forget about Memphis like that? Man, where are my Memphis people at? I know I got some Memphis, Tennessee folk in here. I know I got some Nashville, Cashville. I know I got some Tennessee people in here, especially Memphis. Hey, man. Hey, man. How could I forget about Memphis, man? Hey, you know what I'm saying? Y'all accents is like music to my ears. You know what I'm saying? Hey, shout out to Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Cuban on Cuban. Hey, man. Nah, but for real, though. Shout out to our Memphis brothers and sisters, man. So, Memphis, Tennessee have a unique accent out of all the Southerners, right? We all got unique ones, but we know some accents stand out more than others, okay? When you go to Memphis, right? When you go to Louisiana, right? When you go to Cali, right? When you go to Chicago stands out because it's very Southern. And you go into Chicago, it's a city, but like country folk, you know, like Southern folk, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people accents stand out a lot more than others, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got New York accent, right? You got a Philly accent, right? You got the Louisiana accent, right? You got Memphis. Some of these accents just stand out a little bit more. And the reason why is because Memphis has one of the thickest indigenous rooted Southern Black accents in the United States. Keeping it real with you. Memphis has one of the thickest indigenous rooted Southern Black accents in the United States. Why? Memphis sits directly on Choctaw, Chickasaw Nation, Shawnee Nation, Cupaw and Kansas sphere, and Mississippi Delta culture with the Creek, the Yamasee, and the Gullah migrants. Not the Geechee, but the Gullah migrants. Okay? So, because of this, Memphis have one of the thickest indigenous Southern accents. Okay? the influence on speech. They have drawn out vowels, which come from the Shada and the Chickasaw speech pattern. Hey, man. Music, man. You know what I'm saying? That was drawn out vowels, right? Music, man. Hey, man. You know what I'm saying? That drawn out vowel is because of the Shada and the Chickasaw speech pattern. The word Maine is a Memphis staple, but that comes from Mene or Maine, which is an indigenous Creole filler word. And a lot of us use the word Maine in the South, right? But they use it the most. So now we know where the word Maine or why we use it. It is a filler word, right? It's an indigenous Creole filler word. We use it as a filler. It don't really mean shit for real. Nah, real talk. Real talk. Like, I mean, if you really think about it, it don't really mean nothing. It's just like, man, we trying to get somebody attention. It's like a filler word. We don't know what to put right here. Hey, man, stop playing. You know what I'm saying? It really don't mean shit for real. We just trying to get your attention or some shit. You know? They also use, right, depending on how old the generation is, right? A lot of the older generations in Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, they say fixing to, which is still a Southern slang, right? It's just an older one, right? I'm fixing to. Us newer age people, we say finna, right? We took fixing to and we created finna. Finna, remember, it comes from the Sephardic word finna, F-I-N-A, and it is also a Creek Muskogee word, F-E-N-A, which means to go forward. So when the Sephardics and the Creeks came together, some words just always meant the same, right? In Sephardic Jew language, F-I-N-A means the same shit as the Creek word, F-E-N-A, means to go forward or to go towards, or I'm about to do something, right? Peep game on cultural connections right there. All right? Peep game on cultural connections right there. Okay? That's Memphis, right? So Memphis preserved, right? Memphis preserved this older, more, Memphis preserved this older form more than most cities, right? Heavy rhythm and musical tone, the delta in indigenous blues cadence. Memphis Ebonics equals deep Southern indigenous and sprinkles of Moorish and Mississippi Delta Creole. Okay? That breaks down Memphis. All right. Now, somebody asked me about Kentucky. So we're going to do Louisville, Kentucky. Since I'm in Louisville, right? We're going to do Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. Because when I left Georgia and I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, one thing I noticed about Louisville, Kentucky, St. Louis, and Memphis all got similar accents. Nah, for real. Kentucky, especially Louisville, St. Louis, and Memphis all got similar accents. That shit crazy as hell. Right? But it's a reason for that. Okay? So, let's get into it. So when it comes to Kentucky or Louisville, Kentucky, or Lexington, Kentucky specifically, the accent sits between Tennessee and Mississippi Delta, with Appalachia with the Scots and Irish, and indigenous Shawnee and Chickasaw influence. Okay? Old French and Ladino Jewish settlers is what is the basis in the beginning of the fusion of Louisville accent. Okay, shout out to the Shawnee. Okay, I'm gonna take y'all to Shawnee Park one day. That's up here. Okay, slots of Kentucky moved from Mississippi or Tennessee. Facts. Yes, because there was a few times I thought you was from Memphis, but you talk slightly different. Well, I'm not from Louisville, Kentucky, but the reason why I kind of sound a little bit like I was from Memphis, because I got cousins out there in Memphis. So with a lot of people, so with my accent, My accent is a combination of a lot of my cousins, because I just used to make fun of their accents every time they used to come to Georgia. So I still have a thick Georgia drawl to me. But, you know, when my Louisiana cousins came, my New York cousins came, my Memphis cousins came from North Memphis. And then who else? Some of my Florida, like when we all used to have family reunions and we all grow up in the summertime playing with each other and shit, I used to make fun of their accents so damn much that some shit just gets stuck. So, you know, some shit just gets stuck. So, you know, like, that's just what it is. But if you catch me in Georgia though, in my natural habitat, that boy sound like T.I. I swear to God, I sound like T.I. If y'all would have met me when I first got started with my TikTok and going live, a lot of people, bruh, I used to get that shit all day. They're like, boy, you sound like T.I., nigga. Oh, God damn, here we go. But yeah, so that shit crazy. But yeah, man, I just used to make fun of my cousins and shit, and some stuff just got stuck. You know, grandma always say, stop making fun of people. Expeditiously, you know what I'm saying? Lloyds of London. So peak game. He said they take that basketball serious out of. Ah, boy, look, nigga, what? Brass profit. These niggas will beat you up behind their team. I swear to God. If you ever come to Louisville or Lexington, be careful, nigga. Do not wear, if you don't know nothing about no Wildcats or Cardinals, don't wear that shit. These niggas be gang banging on basketball teams up here. I'm telling you, people done got beat up behind a basketball team. I'm like, boy, that's crazy. Yeah. Hey, who you going for, bro? Hey, look, bro, I'm a Bulldog fam. I ain't even from here. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, they ain't about to beat me up behind this. Like, they take this shit serious up here. They take basketball serious up here like Texas take football serious. I promise to you. That shit get crazy. But peak game though. Check it out. So now the featured accents of Louisville Black English. They have a soft slurred vowel like Memphis, but smoother. Now when they say soft slurred vowels like Memphis, but smoother, up here they pronounce the UR. Earlier in the live I was talking about the UR shit, right? So up here, instead of saying like hell, like if you go down south in Georgia, we say hell. Or hair, for those who don't know, but you know, hell. Instead of saying it like that, they don't say hell, they say her. And they mean like hair, you're her. Instead of saying come here, like we say in the South, like, hey, come over here, come here, right? They don't say that, they say come here, right? They say come here. You know, shit like that. You know, they utilize the U and the R a lot, like how St. Louis and Memphis do. You know what I'm saying? And you be like, damn, okay. Yeah. So it's wild. Hey, he said you from Louisville. Hey, shout out to you, man. But yeah, so they have like a softer slur in their vowels, like Memphis, but a little bit smoother, right? Like Dow, D-O-U, right? Dough, instead of though, right? Instead of though, you know, dough. Hold on, I think that's right. Hold on, though. Yeah, though. Yeah. Instead of saying though, they say though. The R's are flattened, right? Like for real or for show, right? So they don't say for, which is, you know, a lot of us don't say for, right? We say fo, right? That's that Southern in them, right? That Tennessee, that Mississippi Delta, right? That fo, right? Phonem, right? That fo. That's because of the Shawnee and the Algonquin vowel flattening, right? That Algonquin, like a lot of us have. The music pacing, right, is similar or the same as Mississippi, lower South rhythm with the music. All right. Borrowed Southern Geechee grammar from migrants who moved up here, because a lot of folks, not everybody, but a lot of folks in Louisville and Lexington, a lot of their ancestors actually come from like Georgia and Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Some of them, some of their ancestors come from Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi. Some of them ancestors come from Detroit. But a lot of folks got a lot of Atlanta. Like a lot of folks say Georgia a lot up here when I ask them. They either Georgia, South Carolina, or like Tennessee is Maine. So a lot of Geechee grammar influence, you know what I'm saying, came up here during the Great Migration as well too. You know what I'm saying, if that makes sense. French Creole merchants, which is the Latinos, right? We know the French Creole merchants are the Latinos. This is why Louisville have the fleur-de-lis symbol, just like Louisiana got the fleur-de-lis. St. Louis got the fleur-de-lis. You know, in a lot of certain states that was part of a French colony or with the Latinos, they have a fleur-de-lis symbol as well too. You know what I'm saying? So peep gang. Peep gang. You say you shiny Chickasaw and Blackfoot? Yeah, facts. Yeah. A lot of folks up here got that. As a Lexington native, you spot on so far, even with the Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi connection. Also Louisiana. Yeah. I appreciate that, man. I've been living up here for like, I've been living up here for a minute. I left Georgia when I was like 19. And I've been up here in Louisville, Kentucky ever since. So, you know, I talked a lot to a lot of people. I've even have cousins up here that I've met, you know what I'm saying? My dad was stationed up here when he was in the Army, so I got little cousins up here as well. And I just asked them about their story. You know, what did your ancestors tell your grandmama, you know, where everybody from? And, you know, most people that I talk to from either Lexington or Louisville, it goes back to Georgia, Tennessee, you know, Mississippi a lot. You know what I'm saying? And everything like that, the Great Migration and all of that. So yeah, so that's where a lot of folks up here will have, you know, some Geechee roots, maybe like some Blackfoot roots, you know what I'm saying? Some Chickasaw roots and stuff like that. But peep gang. So just keep going though. Let's keep going. Got a few more for y'all before we wrap it up for the day. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. So in closing with Louisville, Kentucky, or just, you know, Louisville, Lexington, you know, just Kentucky though, they have like a Memphis-like vowel sound, plus a Shawnee Indian influence in Appalachian cadence. You know what I'm saying? So now when you move to St. Louis, Missouri, right? Shout out to St. Louis. You know, probably got some people in here from St. Louis. Shout out to y'all. Now when we go to St. Louis, Missouri, right? St. Louis is the northern edge of the same linguistic highway as Memphis and Louisville. This is why the accents is similar in these places. And remember, our accents is what? Cultural and tied to our ancestry. And y'all genealogy matches what I'm telling y'all. So this how y'all know we spot on with everything, right? So St. Louis is the northern edge of the same linguistic highway as Memphis and Louisville. Why? Because St. Louis was a major hub for Chickasaw and Choctaw relocation trails. Free Moorish and Creole communities, French Louisiana Empire, went to St. Louis. The Mississippi River Black migration system happened, right? Early Spanish and French-speaking Latinos went to St. Louis. Southern families moving north, like Detroit, but earlier, also happened. And because of all of this happening, right, a fusion happens, just like a fusion happened everywhere else that we talk about our people at, right? A fusion happens, right? The fusion gives you the St. Louis accent that you hear today, which is similar to Memphis and Louisville, right? When they say A, right, sound at the end of the sentence, right? A, you know, they put that A at the end of a lot of their sentences. If you ever talk to somebody from St. Louis, right? They have elongated vowels. Who you with? Right? Who you with? Southern syntax. Right? Hey, man, I'm about to swing over there, man. Who you with? Man, who you bringing over? Man, who you with? All right, Southern syntax. Right? A slight French intonation from Creole ancestry. Right? They say words like the rest of us, right? Them instead of them. Do instead of door. Dat instead of that. This comes from the Indigenous and Geechee grammar. There go that Geechee again. That comes from the Indigenous Geechee grammar. Dem, do, dat. Okay? Strong consonant drops, and which is a Memphis influence. So St. Louis Black English, or Ebonics, equals Memphis plus Louisiana Creole plus Midwest Algonquin mix. And this is what you will hear when you enter St. Louis and talk to those indigenous brothers and sisters, right? So why these three cities sound alike? Because they all sit on the same cultural migration channel, the Mississippi River, the highway of indigenous and Negro Moorish migrations. This is why. The Great Migration. Right? The Great Migration. Right? It sits on the same cultural migration channel. The Mississippi River equals the highway of indigenous and Negro Moorish migrations. From the Gulf Coast upward, the Shadas, the Chickasaw, the Creek, the Yamasee, the Natchez, for one. For two, the French Louisiana Creoles with Moorish roots, right? Then you get the Spanish Latinos coming through Mississippi and Arkansas, right? And then you get the Delta Black families, right? Listen, I appreciate that. Thank y'all for the gifts too, right? Appreciate that. Look. The Delta Black families with indigenous blood moving north. You said Bernie Mac used to say that? Yeah, right? Delta Black families with indigenous blood moving north. All three cities were connected, right? All three cities were connected, right? They were connected. They were connected by trade, marriages, migration, river travels, music, blues, soul, hip-hop origins. So the same mixed populations fed all three regions, okay? And when they say mixed populations, indigenous and Latino, okay? They fed all three regions. That's why Memphis, Louisville, and St. Louis all share vowel stretch words, Southern indigenous grammar, Creole Moorish cadence, Delta rhythms, French influence, similar slang roots. They are literally dialect cousins, right? They are literally dialect cousins. And a lot of us are dialect cousins, all right? A lot of us are dialect cousins. What's that in Swarthy? Peace. A lot of us are dialect cousins. But St. Louis, Louisville, and Memphis, they're dialect cousins. A lot of us dialect cousins. Louisiana and Savannah, Georgia, and Haitian Creole, they're dialect cousins. You see what I'm saying? A lot of Geechee, right? A lot of Geechee in Louisiana, dialect cousins, right? A lot of certain regions is dialect cousins. This is why we can, you know, some of us can go to certain regions and certain cities, and linguistically, man, it's all good. We'll fit straight in. We ain't got to change it over. Like, if I was to go to Cali, it'll be kind of easy to understand them, right? As me being from Georgia. Well, honestly, me being from Georgia, I can kind of understand everybody because a lot of folks got roots from Georgia. But just being specific, right? If I go to Chicago, I can definitely understand them. If I go up to New York, no question about it, right? South Carolina, come on, man, stop playing, same language. And a lot of these places, me as a person from Georgia with the dialect and the vocabulary that I have, I can understand a lot of folks. This is why it was easier for me to pick up on a lot of different people's languages growing up. It was easy for me to listen to Louisiana people and start, you heard me? And all of that stuff like that. It was easy for me to listen to people from Memphis and, oh, okay, cool, woo, because at the end of the day, all of these folks come back down south. You feel what I'm saying? P gang. P gang. So, but it's shout out to Kansas City. Said, but my people been here. Some of us still have our plantation, heirs property in Kentucky. Yeah, facts. Yeah. So, before we, get ready to wrap it up, yeah, we all connected. We all cousins. I'm just going to be all the way 100. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us is cousins for real. If not all of us, we all cousins. If they never separated us, right? Because honestly, we are the children of the orphans that was taken from the family for a lot of us. And I'm not saying orphan as in you ain't got no genealogical records. I'm telling you what really happened. This is the reason why the memory is wiped from us, right? Because at some point in time, they had to take us from our areas, our people, and put us in schools and brainwash us, right? So A lot of us is cousins. This is why I told y'all early in the live. We one big ass family. I appreciate the gift, Swarthy. We one big ass family that they just divided. They forced migrations, great migrations. They reclassified us with different statuses and all of this type of shit. They made some of us think that we different people and all of that. But in reality, we come from this same big ass family who been going to war with another big ass family who is not us, but they look like us. I'm telling you some real shit. When you get to the root of this shit, it's our family versus their family. All that 13 families, it's two main families on this goddamn earth. Our family, their family. Our family been fighting their family for fucking eons. The black ones and the white ones, all right? They had to divide our family to conquer our family. Or at least to contain us. I guaranteed you a lot of us is 13th cousins, second cousins, or fifth cousins, 26 cousins, 36 cousins. I guaranteed you. How is all of us, how do all of us that got the Shada nation ancestry, how some of us not related, at least by tribal cousins? Because think about it. If they never broke us up, all of us that got the Shada, we would have been in Shada villages right now, growing up with some of each other. Right? Some of us that got mixed ancestry of indigenous folks, man, we would have been going between nations. Hey, I'm about to go holler at my cousins over here with the goddamn Comanche tribe. Oh, I'm about to go holler at my cousins over here with the Geechee and the Yuchi and the Creeks real quick. I'll be back. You know what I'm saying? But they broke us up. They broke up the connection because that's how we used to move for real. What's happening, Chief Pressure? Peace, peace. Because this is how we used to move. If they never broke us up, we would have, most of us, like 90% of us would have grew up together. If there was no great migration, if they didn't forcefully relocate us or nothing like that, 90% of us would have grew up together. Honestly, that's some real shit. But it's all cool though, because we coming back home, right? We coming back home. Hey, I love y'all too, man. Big Mississippi. You feel me? Hey. Big Mississippi. But we coming back home to it though. They had to break us up because we was an economic threat. But we coming back home though. This is why unity is important. Unity is our greatest power. It's the greatest power that we have, but it's the hardest power to obtain and control. So, rounding it off. So, Black American speech equals Indigenous American dialects, with a mixture or admixture of Ladino overlays. Our dialect, vocabulary, grammar, and accent and pattern all come from two main roots. One, Indigenous American languages, which is your primary root, your base, the foundation, right? Which includes Algonquin, Muskogean, Siouan, Catawba, Yamasee, Timucua, Powhatan, and a dozen more tribes, right? A dozen more tribes, mainland and Caribbean. Then you get the Ladinos, right? The admixture mixed in, right? Moors, Sephardic Jews, Iberians, Irish, Scots. I appreciate that gift, my naga. Appreciate that, right? Now you get into the Ladinos, right? The Moors, Sephardics, the Iberians, that Irish, that Scottish, that French Huguenot, that Portuguese, right? Ladinos, right? Ladinos brought European vocabulary, certain consonant patterns, different Melanie accents, but not the grammar. That stayed indigenous. The grammar is always indigenous. That is the root, that is the basis. Everything else is admixtures and fusions, which create the culture that we have today. Just like I broke down soul food, right? And I'm breaking down Ebonics. And you can break down the genealogy because you done already did it to confirm all three. Okay? Peep gang. So the Ladinos in the Americas was Iberian Sephardic Jews, Moors who was expelled from Portugal and Spain, French Huguenots, Irish Catholics and Scot Gaels, and Portuguese conversos. These are the Ladinos, which they're all Sephardics and Moors, all right? Just in different regions, okay? So don't let that confuse y'all, but just same people, different regions, all right? Also in the Canary Islands and the Andalusia from southern Spain, okay? They came to America as indentured servants, traders, runaways, converts, colonial outsiders, and many merged into the indigenous tribes. You heard what I said? They came here as indentured servants to the Indians, traders, runaways, converts, and colonial outsiders to many. And many merged with indigenous tribes. They merged with indigenous tribes. They got absorbed into the indigenous tribes, and so did their culture, which creates the fusion. Okay? Which creates the fusion. 3, right? Different regions, which contributes to our accents. Right? The different regions equals different blends of indigenous and Ladino sources. This is why all Black Americans share the same grammar, but we all sound different with our accents. Okay? Listen to what I said. This is why all Black Americans share the same grammar, but we all sound different with different accents. We are still indigenous with the grammar and the dialect. The only thing is different with the admixture of the Ladino is the accents. We just broke down the accents, right? The accents. The way that we sound is different. Just like our music. Think music. Not for real. Think music. Think music. And then you'll understand our accents, right? Think of it like music. Same song, same indigenous roots, different instruments depending on regions. Okay? Think about our accents like that, like music. Same song, indigenous, different instruments depending on the region. Right? So, now to the main question that some of y'all might have been having. Are different accents caused by which Ladino groups mixed into each regions of indigenous tribes? That answer is yes. That is exactly the pattern. That's exactly the pattern. That is exactly the pattern. Okay? Let's break it down. All right? That is the pattern. So yes, the accents differ because each region had different Ladino influence mixing with local indigenous tribes. Okay? All Black Americans share indigenous grammar, indigenous syntax, indigenous worldview. But accents shift because of French mixed regions, Spanish mixed regions, Portuguese mixed regions, Dutch mixed pockets, Scottish and Irish mixed zones. Okay? But we all share the same indigenous grammar. That's why no matter where we go, we can always understand our people. Just the way we sound is different. Okay? I'm from Georgia. I sound totally different from somebody in Cali, but we use the same grammar. Right? Okay. I'm from Georgia. I sound totally different from somebody in New York. But if I tell somebody in New York I'm going to the car, I bet they know that I'm going to the car. Okay? Understand it. So the second reason for that, oh my bad, I skipped one. We was talking about New York accents and I skipped one. My bad, y'all. Can we go back to the New York accent for a second? If y'all don't mind, I got 4% on my battery. We're going to have to run through this real quick. But can we go back to the New York accent for a second? If anybody from New York City is still in here. Because I forgot this. My bad. My bad. I totally forgot this shit right here. Let's go back to the New York accent for a second. Because I forgot this. The reason why some New Yorkers, or a lot of New Yorkers, the reason why they sound a little Italianish is because of the Sephardic from the Southern European, Ladino, Iberian Peninsula. That's why some New Yorkers, or a lot of New Yorkers in their accent, they sound Italianish a little bit, right? This is part of the people. This is the part people never talk about. Before Italians arrived in 1880 to 1920, New York already had a Southern European influence from the Latinos, right? Portuguese Latinos, Sephardic Jews, right? Spanish Latinos and Conversos in the 1600s, Dutch Sephardicism in the 1600s, French Latinos in the 16 to 1700s. These groups mixed with the indigenous community and with early free Negro populations of New York City. Those free Negro populations are free Latinos. So they mixed with Indians and went back to people of their own tribe, right? So this is why a person from Brooklyn or the Bronx accent can sound a little Italianish, a little Sephardic Jewish, right? A little Caribbean, right? But truly underneath it all, it's indigenous American grammar and Ladino European cadence like everybody else. Only thing different was the different regions of the accents of the Latinos. So what I'm saying to y'all, so when it comes to language, what I'm telling y'all is that we inherit the Latinos' accents, but we still use our indigenous American grammar, if that makes sense, right? We inherited the Latinos' accents, but the Latino accents that we inherited is also combined with indigenous American grammar. And because of this fusion, you get the world's most popular language we call Ebonics. Ebonics is so popular that the little hat people is trying to create their form of Ebonics. They call it Jubonics. That shit crazy as hell, right? That shit diabolical. But peep game. Peep game. Peep game. So all right. Yeah, I'm very much serious. Y'all can look up Jubonics. The little hat people is trying to create their own version of Ebonics, right? It's called Jubonics. Go look that shit up. That shit's wild. It blew my mind. So what I just broke down with the Ebonics ties into what we broke down yesterday with the soul food. Because even our soul food dish echoes the same fusion that our language echoes. Ancient, indigenous American, and Sephardic and Moorish Ladino roots. Soul food is not slave food, and our Ebonics is not slave language. It is the indigenous American system which was sprinkled with admixture of enhancements by Ladino, Sephardic, and Moorish styles. And because of this fusion, it created Black American culture, something that we hold on dearly today. Okay? It's the truth. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. My phone is on 1%. I don't want the live to hang up on y'all. Y'all know how I get down. Thank y'all for the likes, the love, the gifts. I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all for all the support. Thank you for the shares, the likes, the reposts. Again, if y'all haven't got a copy of my book, hit the link in the bio. Grab a copy of my book, Reclaiming Our Consciousness 1 and 2 and Aneclipses in America. You know, they $10. Dope gems in there. A lot of sources and references that, you know, I don't go over on TikTok, but I guarantee you. And shout out to those who grabbed a copy of the book. I hope y'all enjoying it page for page, right? I don't have enough battery percentage to give y'all a long speech or closing. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of y'all day. See y'all in these TikTok streets once I charge up my phone. Peace, peace. I'ma holler at y'all. Yes, my YouTube is Signs for the Conscious Mind. This live will be posted on my YouTube as soon as my phone charges up. Okay, so in case you missed this live, it will be on my YouTube. Actually, I'm posting 2 new videos today. Signs for the Conscious Mind YouTube channel. All right, I'm up out of here.